All right, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Robert Phoenix. We are back for another edition, Sunday night AstroLive. It is the 10-5 edition, and the thumbnail says that we're going to be joined by the Leo King tonight, and that we will. He's on his way. You know, being a new dad has given him another level of task in his life. So he's got to clear the decks, and once he is ready to jump in, he'll come on over here, and I think we'll be streaming on both platforms. So it's going to be a great show. Of course, it's always made even better by who knows the astrological cat. That's right. The OG is tonight. Look at that. He's the equivalent of the Leo King in the cat kingdom. I can right now. Now, we've got some really exciting news to share with you guys tonight. And it has to do with some new offerings that David and I have come up with in anticipation of, and kind of break this new idea, this new concept, albeit a new brand, shall we say. And the Bridge Expo, which we'll talk a little bit about tonight, has given us the inspiration to do this. And it does also encompass some of David's work in the AI world, which we'll get into tonight. And looks like we're joined here by none other than the Leo King himself. Let's bring David onto the stage without any further ado. There he is.
What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. You're going on.
You.
It's great to have you back. Do you want to live stream through your world too?
Yeah, I was actually logging that in right now.
Okay, you do that.
Doing that, but
and I'll continue to chat with the audience here. And I was just telling about this this brainstorm that we had last week to bring a little something extra to the Bridge Expo, and we're gonna bust it out tonight. We're gonna bust out a couple of things tonight about the Bridge Expo, but we're really excited about this product launch that we have. And David has been working overtime at this product launch, and we came up with some really cool ideas and designs that we're gonna bust it out a little bit later. Not quite yet, but we'll wait for David to get hooked up here, and we'll bring him back on. There you go.
It just kicked me out, and then
StreamYard has too many customers, man.
It's so weird. I know I don't use them, so maybe it's because I don't have an account with them. But
they're overburdened. They have risen. They've inflated their prices just like everybody else. They've tacked on a bunch of new services, which more bells and whistles aren't always better.
Right.
Just do what you normally do, but do it better than anybody else. And they're kind of losing ground there.
Yeah, and I think there's so many. Well, there's a big difference. There's all the people that want to stream, and so it's all browser based. Whereas, like at my studio, I don't do browser based. I'm using full blown software interfaces with graphic cards and encoding it through my computer. So it's with my own switcher. So it's like there's two worlds, and in that world that I'm in, it's not a lot of people. But in this other world, it is massive.
It's massive. It's almost too massive in the stream art world because
Yeah.
there's a lot of mouths to feed, and I feel like, Brian Eno, coming back to this, Brian Eno, once said, "Give me really great options instead of 20 mediocre ones."
Mm.
Right, and I feel like a lot of the stuff that StreamYard is doing, like, I'm not sure if you need all of it. Just make sure that my mic is working at the optimal level, right? Make sure that the graphics are up in a legible fashion. Make sure that the destinations are easy to reach if we're doing multiple. Other than that, I guess you could have, like, something like this, which I do use every now and then. And when I say, "Hey, would you like and subscribe to this show?" Yeah, go ahead and do that. Right. So they've got a few little things here. We got this one over here. There's another one. Like and subscribe. So if you like the show, like and subscribe to it. But these have been on StreamYard for a while now. It's not like it's anything new. So anyway, how you doing, man? How you doing, man?
These eclipses, this has been the first Libra season since like the beginning of the 2010s when Uranus had ingressed in and was in the opposition. And then we had the big, cardinal crosses with like that Mars retrograde in Libra with Jupiter in Cancer 12 years ago. And I thought that would be kind of the crazy Libra times, but it's weird because it's this Libra transit is coming out of these eclipses the same exact way in 2006 and coming into an opposition to Neptune. The last time was 1861 when they actually realized the 6 months into the Civil War, it was the Civil War.
Right. Kind of like what's going on now, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's been really having to get grounded in my spiritual self again. I feel like we've all kind of had the shields up and doing the work, and now it's having to kind of get back to the core of who we are spiritually, get out of any distractions, and find the true Libra balance within in our relationship with spirit. I think is our number one place to be right now. And then every other relationship that comes after that really, I think, is more in alignment instead of like based off our ego. I mean, I've been thinking of this Chiron conjunction to Aries.
Yeah, right. Talk about that, man. Wow.
It very much the disruption with the victim all mixed into one, and also kind of this atrocity, like the story of when Chiron loses his immortality and becomes mortal, especially as Jupiter's beginning the square to Chiron. So Zeus is the only one that could save him at the end of the day. And right now, Jupiter's like, this isn't the story where I come and help you out, So
that's so true, right?
I think it's amplifying that energy a lot where we're looking for safety in Jupiter and Cancer. And it's been interesting watching Jupiter and Cancer. Yeah, it's exalted. But, it's the long haul with Jupiter. I always have to tell that with clients. Like, it's the whole transit. It's not an instant coffee thing.
And we've been going through the Mars square to Jupiter, 3 square Jupiter, and then Venus and Virgo just hanging out there in the South Node naked, right? Almost in singleton territory. And the square to Jupiter, Venus will catch up soon, but off with the Mars square to Jupiter, and now we've got the Mercury square to Jupiter. Jupiter is just that amplifier, that angle, and for me, Jupiter and Cancer is this country, right? Being a Cancer country, big, and it's kind of home to everybody. Of parochial, sort of, folkish. Jupiter and Cancer amplifies sort of the little stuff and the roots and being honed. He swears. It's almost like it's on over. Right. I was talking with sort of like spikes going to 11. You have all these now that are, stomping their feet and pounding their drums and, exhorting Trump to go after the anti-immigrants or the migrants. And it brings out the patriotism and the worst of patriotism. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we're seeing both sides do despicable things, and that's been hard for me to watch because you can't blame anymore. I feel like they both became even at Pluto's ingress fully into Aquarius. Like it kind of became like
Absolutely.
even Steven, and now both sides think the other side has been the worst of all time. And they're both doing the most horrific things. Like I think a basic version to that would be just this week with the memes, right? You have Trump making memes, right? You could say they're racist, right? You can. But you have Gavin Newsom doing the same thing at the same time. So you have this kind of interesting moment where you can't just say Trump's a piece of crap, right? It's like the left is behind Gavin Newsom now doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm just taking the most bare, simple, stupid thing. But I think that's what's been really hard to watch is the rallying up also in social media, like X is on the right and then blue skies on the left. And it's become just two parallel worlds now. And people are really not looking at the big kind of crazy issues that I think you and I will cover today.
Yeah. I always like to remind people that both Donald Trump and Gavin Newsom Jesuit colleges. So you may think that they're playing on opposite teams, but you may want to rethink that every now and then because it may be a lot closer than you think, right? So, and Newsom obviously is and Trump is Gemini, but he's got all those planets in the 11th house. He's got Jupiter now, conjunct Saturn in his chart, right?
Yeah.
So he's got that super kind of
Jupiter square Saturn right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got that super conjunction going through his 12th house. And he's taking a lot of, he's feeling real relaxed, right? Like at the Erika Kirk, Charlie Memorial, like the full body embrace with Erika Kirk with that shit-eating grin on his face, right? I mean, it was a little weird, man. I think we can read between the lines there, and I think we both have. But also, I don't know if you caught this he did the other day. But it's like, I think he used we or me, I forget which one. It says, we'll judge you in this life next. Did you?
I didn't get that one yet, but
I think it was a tweet. We'll judge you in this life and the next. So this is getting real comfortable with that 11th house, right? Like I'm just moving and grooving here with all the groups and all these live events and the American village, so to speak. But the Christians pushed back on him with him. Like he almost like went a bridge far on that tweet because there's been some blowback from the Christian community. Like judge us in the next lifetime, Donald.
Right.
We answer to a higher power. He's feeling that comfortable that he could just go like, well, yeah, I'm going to be the arbiter of this world and the next. So that's that confidence that Jupiter can breed at times.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment because everybody in the chat, and I included, we're getting like you doubling your voice every time. It's like repeating.
Why is that? Hold on. Let's see. I don't know why. Is it my mic? I don't know if it's my mic. I'm trying to figure out what we have here. Hold on. No, I don't have YouTube open. Let me duck back out and come back in. I'm going to leave the studio. Hold on. I'll come back.
Yeah, it might just be like the echo cancellation or reduce mic background noise.
Let me try that. I got echo cancellation. Automatically adjust. I got them all. I got all the blocks
Well,
checked.
it's sounding like you're back now. Good.
Really?
Whatever you did.
I
Yeah.
didn't do anything.
It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. Now we're back.
Well, it's StreamYard. I mean, I've had issues with my phone. It doesn't pick up that I have.
Oh yeah, it just did it again.
All right. I'm the studio. I'm back again. Hold on.
All right. What up, everyone? Good to be with everyone. It's so funny. Maybe it's just me, whether I've been on Robert's show or I'm on Jimmy Church's show. It always comes to something like that.
All right. What about now? Is that any better?
Yeah, it's sounding good for now. Yeah, it's doing like a complete like out and then back in.
Okay. Is it consistently okay now?
From so far so good.
If not, I'll have to go to a different mic option, which I don't really want to do. So let me know.
It's doing it. It's like repeating it too. It's like It's like a repeater.
Okay, let me get out again. I'm going to go to a different mic. I'll be back.
All right. Anyway, so it's good to be with everyone. So yeah, I think tonight Robert and I are going to talk about a lot of subjects that a lot of people have on their conscious. Probably some that maybe him and I have talked about over the last couple of days that maybe will surprise people. So I think it's be a good combo of both. Of course, we're going to be out in Texas in the next couple of weeks, October 17th through the 19th, out in Frisco, Texas, for the Bridge Expo. So we have our own link if you still want to come and be part of it. And then we also have a whole new apparel for all of that just launched as well.
Okay. What about now?
Yeah, it's seeming good.
Okay. Yeah, it's going through a different input. So let's try this. So you're talking about, I just caught you were talking about the apparel stuff.
Yeah, I was telling you about today. Us definitely going to be covering, I think, a lot of stuff that people are thinking about becoming like, more aware of, or it's kind of in the back of their minds, and then some surprises, I'm sure, that maybe people haven't thought about yet or heard. And then I jumped to that we're going to be at the Bridge Expo, and that we also have those tickets still available, but we have a whole movement with the apparel that's just launched too.
Why don't we get into that? Let's bring this up here because David and I came up with this idea. Let me grab the link here. David and I came up with this idea to have some apparel for the Bridge Expo, and it's over on the Leo King Club.
The LeoKing.club.
The LeoKing.club. And this is all really cool stuff. And David has put the pedal to the metal on this. And I'm going to bring this up here, do some share screen. I'm really excited about this. So we have come up with, David came up with the design. I came up with the brand here, which is Be the Future. And inspired by...
It's not showing anything.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's another fucking StreamYard thing. I have to kill one to bring it in. I'm telling you, man, this platform has got more bugs in it than a backyard in Texas in the middle of summer. All right, can you see it now?
Yeah, we got it now.
All right, cool.
Yep.
So there we go. I came up with the Be the Future, inspired by David's wrangling of AI, and we're going to show some of the clips he's done. And I thought, well, this is what you do. You take hold of the technology and you become the master. Technology, hopefully, is your willing servant here. So I came up with Be the Future and this logo with the B and the E. And David came up with the design. You want to tell people about the design part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly John Dee's hieroglyphic monad, which Monas hieroglyphicus. He drew that in 1555. He made an amazing book called Monas hieroglyphicus, and that's all of the planets, the 7 planets, of course, all in one unified monad, which is many ways like a portal, believe it or not, or it would be a way of like. Well, because it's actually perfect. It makes sense. Astrology wouldn't make sense if you couldn't even see the full synchronicity and the glyphs of all the planets forming into one, which of course would be Mercury, which Mercury rules over astrology. But there's also a shadow Mercury. There's 2 Mercuries, one that you don't see. And this is kind of like the shadow of Mercury, of how it brings everything together. Mercury is not only the king and queen of the planets, but it also is the parents, the mom and dad over the parents too, of the planets too. So I've been really hoping to find a good reason to use it and mix it with people in a way that can really, I think more than ever, to me, be the future is more needed now than ever. I mean, you can't rely on anybody. And whether you and I just had this talk the other day, when it comes to the media and social media, anybody who's now bought out or has some sort of contract or got some sort of investment from these people, especially in the media stuff, you can't trust anybody anymore. They're all bought out. They're all having to say what they have to say. I think the Charlie Kirk situation kind of brought that up to light the biggest. And
absolutely,
we have to be the future ourselves individually. And so, with your own wisdom and your own synchronistic understanding and following the spiritual path and actually being a spiritual tyrant, which would be a positive thing, like going against a lot of this kind of like stuff that's trying to take you into, some people call it evil. I think Greg Braden just on Joe Rogan was amazing and really kind of helping even Joe and people out there. You could call it that too. There is evil, but there is some force trying to take humanity away, and there's always been that force, but it's just now reached, another critical mass moment here of all time.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's very coincides with it. We got yoga mats, we've got women's shirts, men's shirts, all the different kind of t-shirts as well. We have more stuff, coffee mug. But especially there's 10% off for anybody right now. So if you click on any of those products, they'll see the 10% off. It's just Bridge Expo.
Right here.
And
here you go, right there.
It's Bridge Expo, 10% off. And that's any order on there. And if you just stay in the Be the Future, you just scroll down and the whole collection's down below. Yeah. So if you want to find it, it's pretty easy, the leoking.club.
That's it. The link is in the description of the show. So if you're searching for the link, just go into the show details and it's right there. And by the way, we also have a link for the Bridge Expo. And is Rion running any deals still, or where are we with that?
Yeah, I think he's having, especially if you already have bought a ticket and you want to, somebody else, one of your friends wants to go, there's a discount. And if you go to our link, he has same thing, kind of the above on the top part of the header, like whatever the percentage is off right now.
Right. Okay, so we're incentivizing you to go.
Yeah, and if you just take somebody to a T-shirt or a sweatshirt real quick, the back of them has the Be the Future in futurist. So if you do the back of anything, it has the Be the Future on the back, which I think is pretty cool.
Right. And if you're at the show, we're going to have a booth that we won't have product there, but we'll have some iPads. And so you're going to be able to purchase these at the show. It would be cool if you were going to the show and you showed up in your Be the Future attire. It would be kind of
right.
like a tribe or a gang, right? It'd be really cool. And then David has been like just absolutely tearing up AI. So I'm gonna play you one of David's videos, and we're gonna do something pretty special here at the event. Let me see if I gotta pull it up here, David. 1 second.
I'm interested to see what you like video wise here.
Well, I went with your Mission Impossible shit.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of well, it's Mission Impossible meets like what? Top Gun.
It's like Top Gun. I mean, I'm lucky because I'm like one of the first people that got an invite to this new technology. My pro version of that, I can't even download it yet in the high quality that it really is. That's like a week away. So it's actually, I think, something I do want to maybe spend a couple minutes to talk about today at some point about what's about to shift with social media and AI, because this is now a full-blown platform. I mean, and honestly, I have more fun on there. I'm not even on social media anymore. And I think people are really, there's a negative and a positive with everything. But it's kind of interesting to see a platform where people just get to create and have fun and cameo themselves and their friends and then remix other people's stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So I made this one of just like throwing me as an astrologer in a bunch of like TV shows and movies I love.
We got kind of like we can show more than one. So here we go. Let's put this one. This is cool.
Future in the fire of engines.
Plotting the stars.
Blocking the course.
A pilot.
What in the Zodiac is that?
The track just dropped, and so did the power.
The stars said tonight was a major shift. I'm starting to think they meant this. Move!
You're giving horoscopes in the middle of an alien attack.
World craving cosmic confidence. One man reads the stars and dances to them.
The universe doesn't whisper to me, it DJs.
Astrologer, DJ.
All right, Cosmic Crew, ready to see something wild? This is Hypergate AI, my new portal that fuses astrology with next-level intelligence. Think predictions at the speed of light, visuals that breathe, and a vibe so smooth it feels like the future is DJing.
I just clocked in, but the stars don't punch out. Morning playlist? Cosmic.
Is this sanctioned?
Your chart says you're due for a promotion or a snack. Saturn's in HR, baby. I'm on the clock, but...
Blazes is that? Captain, forget the iceberg. Look out there. That glow? That's Comet 3I Atlas, and it's riding shotgun with aliens. They are parking it right in our lane.
Aliens?
Yeah, those disco...
See, I bring tidings from the stars. Mars just moved into Leo, which means I'm legally required to be twice as dramatic. Ha!
Speak on, Knight of the Cosmos.
I told the court astrologer their chart. See, I bring tidings from the stars. Mars just moved into Leo, which means I'm legally required to be twice as dramatic. Ha! Speak on, Knight of the Cosmos. I told the court astrologer their chart looked like a banquet because it had too much Sagittarius on the table.
Every empire thinks it's eternal. The stars say otherwise.
You read omens. I build empires.
I read what can't be built. The future isn't written. It's mixed. And the beat is running out.
The stars mark the turning, my lord. The lion ascends.
And what does that portend for my throne?
Power if seized, ruin if ignored.
Then speak plain, astrologer.
The heavens favor boldness.
But they warn of betrayal from within.
Everything down here runs on secrets. One wrong leak, and the whole thing falls. And I just found the biggest one.
Power isn't given, it's seized. Timing, precision, a spine of steel. Every star says the same thing. The end is written. I don't read endings, I write them. You want a finale?
Predicted your downfall. I'm just here to deliver it.
A universe built on sound. A new legend is about to rise. When silence threatens to consume the stars, he will ignite the rhythm.
Not on my watch.
Interstellar 555.
Back to the Leo King podcast. Today is a big one. I've got a literal legend in the studio, Sir John D. An honor to be conjured from the 16th century, my good Leo King.
Ask for a Virgo forecast.
Big guy, deep breath. You see this right here? That's a 3-eye Atlas conjunction. Means cosmic visitor vibes, like interstellar VIP list. Exactly. Aliens. They love dramatic entrances.
That was fucking epic, man. How long does it take you to create something like that?
I mean, I've been doing it a long time now. So for me, and believe it or not, with Thora 2's new technology through their app, it's only on iOS right now, and only over the last like 3-4 days since it launched, I think there's probably 20,000 people now after 4 days. The first couple of days, it was kind of like me and like 100 people and all the OpenAI team. And they had like 500 creators over the last like year playing with this version.
Yeah.
All you have to do is literally put in like three sentences, 2. I mean, we're talking like, tag me in, I'm an astrologer in a ultra cinematic Top Gun movie trailer.
Right. That's it.
And then it knows, especially if you're a ChatGPT user, right? And you turn on yes, like you can have access to my memories in chat. And especially if you've personalized your ChatGPT, so like it knows like I'm David, I'm the Leo King, these are my businesses, this is how I system prompt it to be, you need to be this way. So it knows me robustly, so it makes it easier, but it is creepy because what the stuff I did with my wife, it knew our daughter's name and threw her in a rap song. I didn't ask for that.
Do you think that's a little creepy?
No, because I mean, I build AI, and so it makes sense. It's taking things that have been put in chats commonly, and I openly say, yeah, you can read these memories. I don't share though my data with ChatGPT to train. Right. But it has a lot of these understandings, and I opened it up to, yeah, you can look at all my chat history. And so kind of like with my own network, Hypergate.ai, and our own AI, like we're doing memories for you, even if you're not on the platform. So every big transit hitting you, it's remembering it. So it can predict and come back to like last time you went through this, and when you went through this transit. So instead of having the AI go, every time Saturn went across your Venus every, 29 years, right? And like actually doing that, or every time the moon was with Saturn on that. No, we're recording it all the time. So it's a pretty interesting world AI. But the Sora 2, the platform, it's just like TikTok or Instagram Reels, but you literally are just looking at only AI videos like that.
Interesting.
And so they made it to where you can choose to make a cameo. So you just take your phone and you just go, you read a couple numbers and you just do a left and right turn, and boom, you can put yourself in anything, and then your friends can tag you in scenes with other people, up to 3 people. And you guys can all be in stuff together. Their whole focus is on friends and family instead of influencer, which actually is kind of cool, in my opinion. They're making the algorithm about, no, who you follow and who you do things with. It's about, they want more of that. And of course, you could use it for your own benefit and gain too.
Right.
But they've aimed the platform being around the people that you follow and the people that you are friends with, right? And really making the fun stuff together, which, to be honest, if you think about like Instagram or Facebook, unless you're like an influencer, most people aren't making something, right? They're sharing something, but they're not creatively creating something.
Yeah. Yeah.
This opens the door for my grandma and anybody to start creating and making it more like we're creating something. And it's been interesting seeing the nuanced political stuff, but it's all the same thing. Like nobody's down for what's been going on. It's not even about sides. It's just been about, like, you know, what's happening in the UK, what's happening about taking away people's speech. Nobody wants to go to war, right? So you don't see on there like going after Trump or going after some political people, but it's like kind of more nuanced. And anybody who's been passed away in the past is like a hall pass. So like to see MLK and redo his speeches, or to redo JFK's speeches, or for me, I had John D in there hanging out with me on a podcast, right? But those kind of things to me are cool. Of course, it's much more, you know, I build an AI app, right, with my partner Jim, and we just actually launched a whole new version last night. It's taken a long time for us to get to this point, but yeah, it's like I have a lot of fun with Sora. My test was my wife, right? So when I got my wife an invite code, because I got 4, at first she was just like pushing it off, like, I'm busy, I got the kids, blah, blah, blah. Then finally I was like, she got it. And she's like, this is like a vision board that I could actually see for real of myself.
Yeah.
She's just super Pisces, right? And I love that because she's putting herself in things to manifest and put in her visualization, really positive things, her with our kids, me, our love, the things that she loves to do, the things that she wants to do with her brand, and, you know, influencing spiritually and showing people that they can live a healthy life and be positive, and especially for feminine and motherly energy. So I think it's great if you think of it in those kind of ways. It's interesting to see the blowback, though. Some people are just so I will not accept any AI.
Right.
But, you know, hey, it's all good. I mean, people said that about Instagram too when it first came out. So,
well, people said that about a lot of things.
Very much so.
Right. Like if man was meant to fly, God would have given him wings when the airplane came on. And
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? You know, it's like,
I keep thinking about the printing press, because when that came out, the only people who could read were the people who were the most elite. So it was like kind of a circle jerk of just printing presses to other printing presses, right? Where the majority of people couldn't read for like the first 150 years, until finally people started slowly. And it was the only first book was the Bible. And even that was there's a lot of contention within the Catholic Church and then the Church of England after the Reformation, which is the same transit we're in right now as the Reformation transit of 1534 and 30, which blows my mind, right?
well,
So
it's clear. It's clear that there is something big going on with Christianity that doesn't feel right. And so I'm not here to bash Christianity, but what is being put together and modeled is not something I'm real excited about. We'll talk more about this when we get to the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. But I want to play another video that you did. This one is way more down home, as they say, a little less intense. Here we go.
Don't just need a truck, you need a vibe. Steel, chrome, and a little swagger. I haul hay, I pull stumps, I spin records, all in the same flannel. And this old rig keeps...
So you're able to do fun stuff like this as well. And we're going to have a raffle at the event, and we're going to old school raffle. It won't be that much money, but we're going to do a raffle, and the winner of the raffle will be in a Sora video with David. So we're going to have that there as well. And
I'll throw it further than just that, because like we'll see if by the event the whole world's allowed to be on.
Right.
It might not be, because it's going to be a lot of data, and it almost took down the world's largest AI, right? Like network and models when it launched. It actually blew up the enterprise version and everything for like a whole day. I've never seen that since they came out. But I'll tell people actually in like images I create, like if they send me images, like I'll make like how I do with you, like
Right.
cool scene stuff and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
frame a picture for them. I think that's a little like that plus that. So they have it forever. You know what I mean?
So that's it. So one is actually something they could put in a physical, like object, like a frame. And
Yeah,
they
like a cool pic poster that you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So we'll have some pretty cool like tchotchke stuff that you can get before the show. You can get it at the show, and then there's going to be some bonus stuff, and we're going to have a blast. I'm really looking forward to it. So where does Sora come out of? Where are they based?
It's OpenAI.
So it's OpenAI.
So OpenAI, their main two products is ChatGPT and then Sora.
Sora, okay.
Right.
So this is a Sam Altman, Palmer Luckey
Correct.
product. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then of course Grok has like Grok 4, and then they have their Imagine built into Grok 4. Whereas like Sora took it to a next level and made it a platform, like a social media platform. And right now it's the #1 app and nobody's allowed on it.
Wow. Okay. So we're not that far away from the show. We're 9 days away, right?
I know. I'm kind of tripping because I'm like, this thing's coming up quick.
Yeah.
And a lot's coming up quick. To me, I feel, eclipses make you feel like you're in between spaces. But this Neptune with Saturn having its Saturn retrograding back into Pisces for the first time since 1937, after being in Aries, because we haven't seen that since 37. And then having this interception of Neptune still in Aries, but they're still conjunct, but they're not because of the interception, but they are. It has been just like everything just feels floating up in the air, like doesn't know where it's going to land. And the fact that Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces October 22nd to meet back with Saturn, plus with the North Node being in Pisces and being the dispositor for that. And then Neptune becomes what it's been since 2012 when it fully came in, but it had moments of it in 2011. But mainly, if you look at like the hierarchy of disposition, right? Like the planet that's always been the planet that you can always go back to if you're using dispositing, right, is Neptune. So it's been interesting that Neptune's kind of been our planet that we've lived through for the last 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
And that's where it's been interesting for spirituality. It's been interesting for the media, fake news, are elections real, the questioning of what's real, what's not, art kind of moving into so many different places, spirituality, drugs, fentanyl. I mean, like, you could see how Neptune ruled this whole last decade plus.
Vaccines, where we could do a Neptune dive through COVID and the deception, the illusion that goes along with that, poisons and toxins masquerading as some kind of, magic elixir to make something that didn't exist go away. I mean, come on now. And it's a really interesting topic here. I have this feeling that there's going to be major blowback to the whole COVID thing when Saturn and Neptune go into Aries. I mean, I feel like people are going to be fucking pissed, right? Like it just came out recently that they all knew. They all knew that none of what they were touting worked or mattered. And now Trump has done this deal with Pfizer, right? And
yeah, 70 plus billion.
And what he's doing is he's rebranding Pfizer Direct. It's like they're taking an already made product that Pfizer was going to market anyway, and then they're bringing it into the government. And, it's one of those things where people who are just true believers and blind followers always have some kind of justification as to why this is happening. And it's like, come on, wake up and smell
Well,
the
I have an interesting theory about this. One, the war situation around the world, every government's loading up for war, including America. We're changing to Department of War.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth this week, hardcore, no more fat generals, no more this, no more that, right? And even at the Pentagon, you must shave, right? That is usually a military thing.
Yeah.
Not this, because there's civilians at the Pentagon, but like even having the civilian employees, like if you're a man shaving every day and having the same standards as what's in the military code of military justice, I mean, like, that's pretty intense. But I think what's happened is this is where how Trump promises not as president, but when he was a businessman, like Trump stakes. Right. I think what he just did to Pfizer is lower your drug prices, because that's what they did. Yeah. So people forget that. Lower your drug prices, because I don't think RFK is just letting him stiff, like just you're going to have to take this. I think they've come up with a very interesting, very like plan to gut these people and take money. And then at the same time, make liberals happy and be like, oh, see, he's still cool with Pfizer. So it's kind of like helping everybody in a weird way. But I think what they're doing is you got to do your drug prices low. And then, yeah, you have mRNA technology. Does it mean that we're going to use it? Right? Like there's no guarantee that we're going to apply it in the deal. It's just more of like explorative matters, right? And so it's very open-ended, very Neptunian. And I feel like it's like take the money and then fuck them back over by just being like, yeah, we're not going to use your thanks.
Well,
and you lowered the drug prices. Thanks.
Yeah.
Because Pfizer is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies besides mRNA technology, right? So it's kind of like it's about those other drugs that the lowering was done. And then if you just see how RFK is already setting up very slowly, like the Tylenol situation, but it's also then Peter McCullough coming out with all the papers showing it's not just Tylenol during pregnant, but Tylenol given to children for a fever after the vax, that creates an autistic situation too. And that's like the next thing that they're rolling out. And then the next thing, right, that they've already been seeing in the Japanese paper this last week of over, what was it, 4 or 8 million people and where the chance of the cancer is, right? 69% in the prostate for men,
right?
And women in ovaries / breast, right? So, it's like you could just see how they're gonna they're slow walking that in. And then what's weird to me is the Tony Blair thing, because with this whole Gaza like situation, because it's like Tony Blair's not just the worst guy like Bush was. In the last time we were in these eclipses, right? This was when the war was bad in 2006. It was bad. This is when we were seeing a lot of deaths in our side, right? As the United Kingdom and America and Canada and the allied forces that were in there. Especially with IUDs, and it's bad.
Yeah.
But he's also been at WEF and all these forums talking about digital ID and vaccination and stuff. And so I don't know why he's trying to play him now as come back up and join the world and be in charge of this whole situation. Maybe he's, I don't know. But I also find it interesting in the same week that Chelsea Clinton came out and now she is starting this whole movement with Bill Gates, because since Bill Gates got wedged out of the White House for his Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, but I guess it's now just called the Gates Foundation, right?
Yeah.
That the Clinton Foundation's getting no more money. So obviously they had to sell out to Bill Gates just to get money flowing through the Clinton Foundation again.
Right.
So you're seeing a lot of like old money and old situations all reoccurring again. And that reminds me of Pisces. Like the past looks like it's going to come back to haunt us, which is so Saturn, the North Node, and then Neptune coming back into Pisces. But we are resetting into something completely new. So I think we're watching like people just desperate for their last dying wishes. And we're going to see also a generational shift with this Pluto and Aquarius that's just only been we haven't even been a year in where it's just been a full year in.
It's massive. Massive, because Gen Z just does not give a fuck. They don't give a fuck.
No.
They've come out of a completely different technological entertainment complex medium. They were not raised on the 3 networks or the cable networks.
Mm-mm.
Right? They're way more diverse in terms of their sources where they get their information. They've always been this way. The first generation that came up fully on the internet. And they're really sharp. And their work habits may not be something to write home about, but they're guided by these higher principles of Pluto and Sagittarius. You know, one of the reasons why they're not motivated by work is because they're trying to connect with that higher octave of Jupiter right through Pluto. And so they're sifting through like all of the dirt and the mud to find this philosophical gold, and they're really good at it. And so the mundane stuff like 9 to 5 and working, I don't really begrudge them their inability to do that because they're all wired with those outer planets that aren't really grounded. They're otherworldly in a lot of ways. So
most of them, right? Like, so the new data that's been out for the last year is college educated graduates right out of their bachelor's degree, master's degree, can't find a job.
That's right.
Right. So it reminds me of the last time Pluto was in Sag and during the Revolutionary War. And the other thing is the service-based economy is where we're at. So most Gen Z are working 3 jobs: Uber, DoorDash, maybe they Turo, a car that they have, right? They're doing these like temporary, but I've got some independence. I can adventure. I could kind of go here. Of course, the number one job that they want to be, which is 89% of them want to be a famous influencer.
Right.
So then you have that, and you're seeing the extremes of that on the men's side, kind of trying to act like the next Andrew Tate.
Right.
To the feminine side,
Chad.
Right, doing what the other side of Andrew Tate is. It's his work that he did prior to kind of getting known, which was sex work and OnlyFans and webcams. Right. And you're seeing that mix with the stream world. And then you're seeing the young Gen Zs in video games as well, as that's the other world that's really big as well too. Right. So and especially the streaming element of it all. So it's kind of, I think it's interesting. I mean, that's something I know that you and I didn't have. I mean, I had to go look in the newspaper for a job, you know, and I got lucky on a couple of them, right? But, you know, it wasn't like we could just go drive our own car and make money real quick and get tipped really well to do DoorDash or something like that.
Well, you could deliver pizzas. You could deliver pizzas, right? But you were working for somebody.
You had a boss, yeah. And then And then you had no phone. You had no phone to at the house. You had to use the Thomas guide.
Right. And when you weren't delivering, you had to be inside. I used to work at the Italian restaurant. You had to go inside and you had to fold pizza boxes. Right. That was your downtime when you weren't delivering. And then the orders would come in and the pies would go out. So we got Tony Blair's chart here. And
pull it up. It's still stuck on the Leo King like a rock. I was trying to recreate like an old 80s Chevy commercial with that.
Okay, let me get out of here.
Reminds me of my childhood. This old like a rock. Oh, like a rock.
Bob Seger.
I
There you
know,
go.
but that was like America, Reagan times, like the country, everything was built in America, and
I'm gonna date myself now. I saw Bob Seger open for Kiss.
oh, that's epic.
Dude, I went in there, like any 15-year-old at that time. I loved the Kiss Alive record. I thought it was loud and in your face. It was the first time I got high too, by the way.
Oh, that would be a trip itself. The first time
Oh my
being
God. Yeah. I'm at the Oakland Coliseum, and my parents drove me and my friend. Actually, his parents took us, and my parents picked us up. And I'd never gotten high before, and the people next to me are like passing out. Yeah, I'll try it, whatever, right? So I got really high. And Bob Seger came on. I'm like, who the fuck is this? This guy is amazing.
Oh, I bet you that would have been the best part, because Kiss is, kind of like a show act, right? I mean, like, it's not like I go around like I'm going to go listen to my Kiss record or something right now, but you can listen to Bob Seger, and he's got range and
he's got soul.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, soul.
Yeah, so. I mean, I'm like, after that, it was like, fuck Kiss. This Bob Seger guy is the real deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And he did so much and worked with so many other artists too. It's like kind of insane.
A lot of people don't know this, but Glenn Fry, the Eagles, cut his
teeth. He's like, I love him.
And then he left Bob Seger to fork off and go start the Eagles. So that's
I know. And then they had Jackson Brown playing piano underneath their apartment in LA with Don Henley and with Glenn. And you have Jackson Brown writing Doctor My Eyes underneath them every morning.
You're saying, this Jackson Brown guy actually works.
I know. Maybe
we should be doing what he's doing and write some fucking songs.
Oh, yeah. And he was dedicated. He was up every morning, cup of coffee, and he was just doing the same thing on the piano and just doing it. I love that story because that's a true story, and it's just so cool.
It is a true story. It's part of the Eagles' mythos. Going out to the desert, taking peyote, being these outlaws who become the avocado mafia eventually. So, yeah, man, we got Tony Blair in front of us. We got Pluto finally crossing his midheaven. The resurrection of Tony Blair on the world stage is with us, and we got some trine action happening also with Tony Blair, right?
What comes up when I look at his chart is Zelensky's sun and Venus retrograde sit on his north node. Tony Blair's north node.
Interesting. Well, Pluto's trining his ascendant for Gemini, and this is we're watching the resurrection of Tony Blair right before our eyes. And does he feel like you brought this up, like the last chance for gas? Pluto conjunct his true node, and he feels, some kind of calling to help the world, and his son, doesn't his son run the fucking digital ID component to all this? I think he does. So we're talking.
Yeah, he was the biggest in the last year, the biggest pusher of digital ID, which I think is weird that America just threw this guy up. Did Bush and him have a contract that I mean, it's kind of weird. 9/11 and what's happening with the Gaza situation and the connections to all of that stuff. It's all coming back around. I'm surprised we haven't seen Bush Jr. back, right? But I think he's a smart enough 12th house Cancer to kind of say, I'm out. I'm not coming out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go hold Michelle's hand and I'm gonna paint. Right.
But, yeah. The other thing about Tony Blair is he's a Sun or Saturn Neptune, pretty much dead there conjunct right after the conjunction. So that's what's really interesting. In Libra, which is going to be the opposite sign of where we'll have the one in February. And that was he's born in the early 50s, right? Pluto at 20, beginning of the 50s. Yeah. I didn't see his birthday. 52.
He's a snake. 53.
53, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's a wood snake right there.
You know, I'm
Water-
going to
water
just say, it. I don't think he'll be fully resurrected with that Mars in the 12th. I think it looks like it's going to happen, and then it ain't.
Well, this is for his son, right? Like he's doing this thing because his son, SON, not SUN.
Right.
His son is running the company that's going to provide the digital ID platform. So there's a Nepo thing going on here. There's a transference from him to his son. And so when that happens, the father usually dies, or there's a component to the father that doesn't fully become fleshed out, which is what you might be picking up here with Mars kind of on the cusp of the ascendant. But Pluto's coming in, and it's kind of, I feel like this is his last gasp. I don't know if he'll actually make it with Pluto and that conjunction with the true node. The true node is come on. You can do it. But to your point, right, there's that Mars in the 12. I feel like he's doing this for his kid. But when you do something like that, there's a part of you that gets left behind. That's my sense. What do you think?
I actually agree with you a lot, especially he has Pluto sitting in his 4th house in Leo.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, yeah, let me set things up for my kid. But at the same time, that North Node moon in the 10th, I know a lot about that. Yeah, if there's the calling that they feel like you feel like you can, but having Pluto there's I don't want people with the North Node in Aquarius to be scared, but Pluto when it crosses the North Node, especially here in Aquarius, is going to be intense for anybody who has that, and it's not going to be easy. It's going to be complicated. It's going to, especially since it's even more so if you have Pluto in Aquarius. I mean, sorry, Pluto in Leo, because it's like, yeah, that means he has South Node Pluto.
Right.
Right. And so now he's in the opposite. And I think that he wants to try to, it might be for his kid, but the main thing is he's trying to fulfill his destiny to be known for what he did here in a good way instead of a bad way. But it's part of it. It's too mixed up and it's too complicated for him. It should have been completely removed from anything that was part of the legacy that he left 19 years ago.
Right.
But of course, like an idiot, no, I'm going to jump right back in the same issues in the same kind of countries and have more people hate me than ever because he was a huge defender of the Patriot Act with George W. Bush and the Five Eyes becoming extreme in their capacities to overlook each other country-wise. And if you really think about it, Tony Blair was just as big of a piece of crap as George W. Bush during the war in the 2000s. Like he was just as big as I would say him and George W. Bush were pretty much equal as far as like the world. If you were on the other side of the world, you didn't like Tony Blair, but even you didn't like George W. Bush. But same thing for Americans. We didn't like Tony Blair either.
No, the thing that's interesting about Blair, and I'm gonna get your take on the Chiron Eris conjunction with Venus, Mercury in his chart. Before I do, he comes on the scene at the same time as Bill Clinton, right? So you have these mirrors. They're both young. They're both, like globalists, right? And they both take the world stage at the same time. And he's got that Gemini rising. So there's going to be a transatlantic reflection with Tony Blair. But this time, he doesn't have that, right? Donald Trump does not mirror Tony Blair. Like Tony Blair's emergence comes at a very specific time in the 90s. So what do you think about Chiron and Eris on his Mercury now? And then we've got this opposition with Chiron and Eris with Saturn in his chart. Like, I don't think this goes well for him.
Yeah, well, especially since Mercury is the ruler of his ascendant. So it's putting him out there. Mercury's in the 11th house. I think the problem, and I might have a really weird view of this is it's a message of disruption. So like what he did to the conservatives in the United Kingdom is the same as George W. Bush did to the Republicans in the United States at the same time 20 years ago, was make everybody think of the Republicans as the deep state or the conservatives in the UK as the deep state, which created an extreme liberal backlash. So we're living through the backlash of liberalism and seeing it go the other way. But what this is a signal to is that Trump's going back in that direction with the country that they did.
Yeah, Trump is recasting himself as kind of a Bush, Reagan, neocon Republican.
Right. And so I think that's very Mercury in the 11th. It's not so much, well, it's interesting with that Gemini ascendant because it's like, it's about him, but it's a message to others as well. With Chiron and Eris there, it's the Trojan horse, right? The disruptive element that's wanting to just, Eris wants to just mess with the other gods by throwing in the golden apple, which is where we get who's the fairest of them all, that concept in Disney and stuff, right? The old understanding of the Roman mythology is that Eris, she messes with the gods to have like that golden apple thrown in to where all these gods start fighting to see who's better looking. It's not the same as like Narcissus, right? And looking in the water. It's very much over an object and everybody fighting over the object and the objection of like, I'm the better one, not you. And she just sits and watches and laughs in a very kind of like sinister way. And then you have Chiron conjunct it to where there's no way this guy has any confidence in even coming back out. Right? This is going to be where, I think his moon in Aquarius signed up for way too much in the 10th here. I think he thinks he can platform himself here and take this platform, but I don't think he's going to be able to.
Yeah.
And I think, though, it's a message to the world, though. Hey, you thought, and I think a lot of people thought Trump could keep it away from that world. But I think what we've seen since he became in office, the last 10 months has been nothing but evidence of the contrary to what he ran upon or his first term, which is, I mean, he's doing just as much. He does it a little bit better covertly because he knows how to communicate and kind of distract you.
Yeah.
But I think it's another. Tony Blair is like, I think, very Aries, right? The name, the identity, very Gemini. The message that, hey, there's handlers handling all this, and we're going to prop whoever we want to prop up, and we're going to do whatever we want to do. And that's not a good sign. And I, of course, I'm not worried about Tony Blair. I think you're right with Saturn and Neptune in opposition to that, with Chiron opposing it, especially with Pluto. When the station is direct here on the 13th of October, and it heads to 5 degrees this year, and it's going to sit at 5 degrees for about 4.5 to 5 months.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. If anything, we could watch definitely a downfall of this guy. But I think it's more important the message that maybe they're even toying with us by throwing him up there because of Eris. That's very Eris. Like, let's just throw the golden apple out and have you all just start throw. But it's also during the Trojan War. Technically, it's not the Trojan horse, but the Trojan horse comes into Troy during the Trojan War. So so it's one little part of the story. But I always look at Eris as like, be careful of what's coming in because you got to look inside of it. It might look like a gift. It might look like it's all good, but it's really, there's something else in there. Yeah. It's just trying to disrupt. There's a disruptive element. It's very Uranian without the nice part.
Absolutely. Discordia. I think of it as also related to Pandora. And, open up the box, Pandora. What's in that box? Right? And then to your point, you open the box and it's a litany of disasters in all of these creatures, and it's like, yeah, it's very disruptive, but it's not the kind of disruption that you want with a good kick in the pants with Uranus.
No, he also
Yeah.
has Sun square Pluto. I noticed right now, and I'm like doing the math in my head. He's not 90 years old yet, but he's in his 70s. So his progressed sun is sitting there in middle part of Leo and beginning the squares over to his. He already went through the squares to his Mercury and stuff like that, but he's definitely in some weird territory. And his solar arcs would be pretty interesting watching. It's like Saturn and Neptune and counting the how many years he's born. He's 72, so 72 degrees. I mean, I'm crazy. I do this in my head. I don't read the charts.
No, I get it. No, I get it. I can roll with you.
Yeah,
on the progressive.
but I'm like looking at it, going, He's also a sun moon square. He's a sun in Taurus and a moon in Aquarius, and that's so. That Pluto and Uranus coming back into Uranus coming back into Taurus, right? And then Pluto being in Aquarius, both with his luminaries and these outer planets. I mean,
in another 12th house sun, like Bush.
Yeah, I know.
They're hanging out in the club together. They belong to the same club.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which would be Skull and Bones, because that's actually W. Bush, which you don't hear about too much anymore. But
yeah,
I think that they have like more oversight over Masons and so forth.
Yeah, and I've heard that Tony Blair on the lodge side of things, and we're talking like ultra lodge and all these deeper, like not just your typical Scottish rite or or York rite, like lodges within the lodge. Like Tony Blair is a mage. Like that was his dark spiritual training. So Pluto coming up on just crossing over the midheaven, and being sort of enchanted by this moon, and I'm here to finish my worldly work with the true node in Aquarius. But Pluto Aquarius has just taught us everything about inversion. And the best laid plans and intentions just don't fucking happen. And in many cases, like he's going to come out, he's going to tie the CBDC to the digital money system. His son is connected to the surveillance side of things because that's how, he's a Nepo baby. But what is he going to do instead? He's going to wake people up. He's not going to corral them and put him in the box. It's gonna work out in the other direction. So thank you, Tony, for your service. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think that's, although he has that North Node in Aquarius, if he's gonna complete his destiny correctly, he's gonna have to reverse course on what we think right now and literally like go against all these guys and say, hey, this is Israel. You need to get out of Gaza for good, and there needs to be some, right, because we have to remember the war crimes that were against George W. Bush in America and the United Kingdom with Tony Blair are the same ones that Israel's going through today.
Right.
We killed over 1 million civilians.
Yep.
By the time that Obama was done with Iraq, right? It was 1 million.
Yeah.
So we went we found a way for most of the Western world to not hear about it. Right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting to see how the other European nations that aren't involved in either war are right. Like America's the only country besides Israel that the UN just said, hey, no, Palestine's a second. Should be its own state.
Should be recognized. Yeah, the only two countries that didn't do that were the United States and, of course, Israel. So, and the United States has the big veto hammer. So it's like, go ahead, vote all you want.
So I only see him throwing us for a curveball, which would be kind of like a way to kind of actually do the only option he has to actually fulfill his destiny is to do an about face and completely rock the boat and do the right thing for people and humanitarianism. Do I think he will? No. But you never know.
I think
right?
inadvertently he does. He may not know it, but I think he goes down this path and he encounters all this resistance, and then it's like, oh, look at this. Look what's happening over here. Look what Tony Blair is doing. And maybe because he's a Gemini rising, who knows? Maybe he changes tracks and says,
Maybe he talks about the prime minister now, Starmer, and says you're doing the wrong thing publicly. If we're going to be talking about the wrong things down here in Israel and Gaza, that maybe that's part of Trump's plan, right? Of why he helped bring him up. Hey, you do this stuff, you can get your name better, but you got to attack the current prime minister about what you're doing to people. And silencing them and all that stuff and arresting over 12,000 people. And that's last year. We don't know the numbers for this year.
Right.
And it's been crazier this year. So nobody's talking about, I mean, no world leaders talk about that. Anytime, Starmer's asked about it, he acts like, what do you mean? We have free speech here. We've never had no free speech. It's like, what?
Yeah. You ever see the picture of Keir Starmer with Jimmy Savile?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Well, it also got squashed about him and his relationship with like another staffer, a man.
Yeah.
Right. Remember that? That was like about a year ago. That got squashed.
Yeah.
So or maybe we just saw Trump do a state visit, his second one, which is very rare to be a president and have a monarch switch out to a new monarch.
Right.
And to do 2 formal state visits under 2 different monarchs. And I think it's really interesting that after that meeting, all this stuff comes. That could be something that maybe that's where the Epstein thing kind of comes involved, right? Like, the Trump connection with Prince Charles, but especially with Prince Andrew.
Right.
That's where it's like, hey, can you help our buddy Tony Blair out? He's kind of depressed.
And Blair's Jupiter is on Trump's midheaven.
Yeah, like almost exact.
And Trump never misses an opportunity to monetize a relationship. Right? So if he's going out of his way to promote Tony Blair or bring him back into the picture, Trump's going to benefit somehow.
Yeah,
he wouldn't do it otherwise.
Yeah, and Uranus in Tony's chart sits on Trump's like Saturn Venus conjunction, like somewhere close to it at least.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's an opportunity for Trump to really kind of get what he wants done in the world, because that's where Trump's 11 house is in Cancer right there.
Right.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting because it's definitely like, it's like Tales from the Crypt, but we'll see how it pans out. I mean, it already is kind of interesting about this whole Gaza like deal. I know they've been in Egypt the last day, but like, of course, Netanyahu kind of like promising and then just about facing and changing the deal on people. Although I just saw the leader of India praise Trump for it. But a lot of the Middle East got kind of unhappy, and to be honest, it's a really difficult situation that I don't even know why. Of course, they all have their hands into something that they want out of that.
Well, Trump wants Jared to run the whole,
Abraham Accords 2.0. Yeah,
he wants Jared to run the Gaza resort rebuilding, where they can have a Trump hotel on the ocean in Gaza.
Yeah, it's
right.
it's Atlantic City all over again.
Exactly. That's what they want. He wants Jared to be able to run it. And Jared, of course, is the intersection between Netanyahu and Trump. Through his
Right. And he also was given billions of dollars by a bunch of countries in all these negotiations, right? So for the Abraham Accords deal that happened right before COVID, that didn't last, which is so interesting, right? Like it stuck for a couple years but COVID happened, and then of course broke up.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting part to it. It's also kind of putting a bunch of countries in a really interesting spot. Of course, it's where all the religious houses are. At the same time, you have the Ukraine-Russia situation happening that's pretty extreme at the moment, actually. And everybody gearing up. The president of Serbia came out this weekend and said flat out, I don't know if you've noticed, but all my colleagues that are leaders around the world are all gearing up for war. It doesn't make me happy, but it's true. You can't even get anything above their head. They're all mounting up for war. Even Pete Hegseth told all of our weapons manufacturers, you need to load up as many missiles, as many weapons, period, because we're preparing for war. Just like FDR did right before we went in. This is the same Mercury that's about to ingress into Scorpio with Uranus and Gemini. So the last time that Uranus had came into Gemini in 41, the first time that Mercury went into quincunxit, I looked this up. It was, who was FDR's wife? She was so famous. I forgot.
Eleanor.
Oh, so Eleanor Roosevelt joined it was like the American War. It was like a non-profit government entity that ran all the way till 1945. But we weren't even in war yet because it happened in September of 41.
Right.
And she became part of it. And then 3 months later, we ended up in World War II, which I just find really weird. That I'm really weird, and I look for those weird historical moments of a weird transit, because this is going to be a Mercury yod. We didn't have that in 41. When everything come into that 1 degree, 0 degree Scorpio area right now, it's making a quincunx with Uranus and Gemini and with Neptune and Aries. And then it's quincunxing at the end of Libra to Uranus or to Saturn in Pisces. So that end of Libra, beginning of Scorpio is a hot zone right now in the yod parts.
Right.
There's actually a couple of them, beginning of Virgo as well. But I think there's definitely like a lot of jockeying and positioning right now for that stuff. Unfortunately, and we have Mars and Scorpio at the same time too. It's been a couple years for that. That was 2023, October.
Yeah.
And the world was pretty dark at that period. It reminds me of the dark days of like the dark ages in many ways. When Biden and
super dark.
It was very dark. So I think that we're also kind of like cutting over a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
We had the nodes that were there, the first solar eclipse in Taurus in a 36, or it was like almost 36 years because of it missed a north node solar eclipse the 19 years prior.
Yeah.
So it was very, this Mars is really covering a lot of that. Plus 3A Atlas just made its conjunction to Mars as it went over Mars this weekend. And they took pictures from the Perseverance rover. And the thing is not a comet. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
But the thing is something else. There's something flying 200,000 miles an hour through space.
And there's anomalous objects around it too, apparently, right?
Yeah, and then we're surrounded by comets coming towards the sun. 5 right now. 5 comets that popped up between July 1st. It was just 3A Atlas.
Yeah.
It's what? 5 comets?
And
plus these other.
And we've had an incredible amount of aurora effects too. Like up in the
big time.
Huge. Like the amount of days consecutively with auroras I think it's broken some kind of a record. It's just like it doesn't normally happen like that. So the skies are definitely talking to us, but in very different ways, which conjures up Pluto and Aquarius again. And the revelation of a new mystery headed in our direction.
Yeah, and the last time, because I love looking back at 1776 and forward when it left Capricorn, and then it was on its way in 1777.
Huge time.
But I look at the one prior, because it was Neptune and Aries at 0 and Pluto at the 2 degrees like we're at now, 1553 and a 4. The Reformation would have been crazy, because it's like, what, we're not part of the Catholic Church anymore, and we're like this king's gonna do this, but he's actually giving us like more freedom to like actually be allowed to read the Bible, because it was illegal. You weren't allowed to under the Catholic Church to read the Bible. Only the priest could.
It's still not a big deal in the Catholic Church. Like it's like they don't say, "Hey, go out and read the Bible and understand the Scripture." It's the interpretation of the priest, and he's going to give you whatever homilies he's going to give through the Mass, and more importantly, through confession. Right? That's where the secret sauce is for the Church, the Catholic Church. Meanwhile, to your point, the Reformation and the Bible, it's like, okay, well, we're going to read this. We're going to interpret the Scripture. And it's a very, very different type of input that Christianity, and people will say, I'm a Catholic, and if you ask them if they're a Christian, they will correct you. And they'll say, no, I'm a Catholic, I'm not a Christian. So there's a very different tonality to those two positions.
Yeah, and I think being just a common person back during those times, that would have been astronomically scary and exciting, and very much similar to us and how we're looking up at the stars, right?
Yeah.
There's actually I just did a special this week, because to get into the alien thing, it's kind of interesting that there's recorded, whether it's drawings, paintings, recorded in journals during the Black Death in the 1340s of spaceships and these Grim Reapers coming out. And I thought it was really weird, because I brought this all up, and then it was like Trump this week put out a Grim Reaper fucking video. And I'm like, that's not good, because that's connected to actually aliens, believe it or not. If people actually do their research into Grim Reapers, those were people who came out of like what was thought of as ships in the sky, like literal like ships.
Yeah.
Like not spaceships, but like ships like in the sea.
Right.
But that they were flying, and these people would come out of the clouds and down in them, and they were in the Grim Reapers in their hoods, and they would come and they would spray things on people's like.
They had gas coming out of their sights, right? I mean, that was the thing that people reported from that era. And it's like,
and then in the same time as the Reformation, the golden like wheels that were up in the sky, the plagues that were happening then too, and the discourse between religious aspects.
Yeah.
There's a connection when this stuff starts happening. And so now when you see all of Europe, especially just in these last like weeks, huge airports shutting down because there's so many drones or UAPs. If you just go look up in space right now,
outages with the navigation systems, the guidance systems, the air traffic controllers, like the computers, have been glitching in and out.
I know, and they're not being paid by the federal government since it shut down. That's what cut off. The last time it was shut down 6 years ago when Trump was in office, it was those guys who work at the air control towers who weren't getting paid, and they started calling in sick.
Right.
And so that includes if you have a private jet. Sorry, there's nobody to help taxi you in. Right? So it's kind of interesting to see that the federal government right now is shut down. And then all this stuff, it's almost kind of like, and then Trump's trying to, with, of course, the a Project 2025 writer who's the head of the OMB, right? They're looking to slash 700,000 people. Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting moment of like kind of fend for yourself, but also listen to us because we don't need people. They're moving everything into AI.
Right.
They've already made all those deals,
Well, that's
including
Brian
Grok
said.
is the one. Grok and OpenAI have all the deals for military and for the government.
Right.
They're already signed.
Yeah. Yeah. And Grimes let the cat out of the bag. She said, yeah, well, all these things are happening, but it's okay because we're going to have less people in the future anyway. Right.
I saw that interview and I'm like, holy cow. She was just like, yeah, we're going to have population decline.
Yeah.
And she just said it like it was nothing, like a psychopath would.
Yeah. It's like a fait accompli. It's done. It's a done deal. So, well, maybe this would be a good transition to get into this Elon Musk theory.
Yeah, well, because it does connect with the Charlie Kirk stuff too, which is kind of interesting.
Does connect with the Charlie Kirk. So let me lay this out for people. Somebody reached out to me today, and this is a person who is very well versed in the Robert Camp system, Cards of Life stuff. Like she is so deep into it, there's like a sub rosa of cards that other people don't know about that Camp showed her that's beneath like the master scripts, the master script line and all that stuff, right? So she's got some interesting tools at her disposal. And she kept getting this hit that Elon Musk is having a relationship with Erika Kirk. And because she couldn't find certain things when comparing like Erika Kirk's master script and Charlie's master script, she kept asking me, was he gay? Was he gay? And I said, I don't know. I mean, I listened to this interview today. It was the last interview that he did. You might actually like it, David. He was talking to a guy about entrepreneurialism. And
I watched that interview. I've seen it. Yeah,
you've seen it, right? That was the last interview. So what he says is, well, you've got to take time out. And, me and my family, we always observe the Sabbath. Yeah, you observe it on the wrong day, but that's okay, right? You're going to observe the Sabbath because he wants family time. So I'm not sure if he was a beard for Erika or she was a beard for him. But when she got into this, she dropped this bomb on me that she believes that Elon Musk is in love with Erika Kirk. And she saw it fleshed out in the camp system. I said, well, let me look at what the astrology around this says. And I'm like, holy shit. I think she's right. So let me bring this up here. So what we're going to table here is that Erika Kirk is not only in a relationship with Elon Musk, but it's a full-blown relationship that has to do with passion and love. Can you see the chart?
Yeah. I can see her Chiron sits on his sun. Yeah. So she's the outer wheel, he's the inner wheel, right?
Right, because we don't know her birth time. We know his, another 12th house sun. Here we go. And look at these tight conjunctions. Chiron
very
sun. Look at this. 5th house. Like that's a little cozy, don't you think?
Yeah. So my only backlash to this synastry is a Sun-Jupiter conjunction for romance. I very rarely see it. I always see it as friends.
But in the 5th house is 5th house.
Including 5th.
Okay. And then you've got the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction.
But I think that
and then down here,
what she could be is the gap between Trump and Elon's supposed fight, right? And then his reappearance at Charlie Kirk's funeral, right? It's like, why did Elon just kind of bail on the country after investing millions and pushing so hard for Doge and getting everything in there and then just like piecing out? And then was like, maybe he's been, so especially because her Jupiter or his Jupiter is there and he's fascinated by her, but I don't think that she would give it to him fully. So I think that's where it's like he probably knows it was all going to go down and has been her like friends. Maybe they hooked up once. That's what you usually see with Sun Jupiter synastry. It's like we hooked up, but we realized we're good friends. Be like, we can make each other laugh and stuff like that.
Fixed sign. I mean, once fixed sign, 5th house.
Yeah.
Scorpio. I don't know, man. If it was good the first time, he'd probably go back for a second helping.
I mean, maybe that's because I am a Jupiter in the 5th, and every sun that's ever been on mine, that's what it's always been. And then I tested it with every other synastry chart, and I'm like, you guys never have really gone out, right? No, it's just always been friends.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, it's like 29 for 29 or something now.
That's a big number, David.
I know. So that's where I'm like, oh, so like if there's only one thing I ever look at where I'm like, it reminds me of the movie Just Friends, Sun
Right.
Jupiter synastry.
So the Juno Moon South Node conjunction right here, that to me was interesting.
That is really, well, that could be where the past life love used to be, but not this life or something.
Yeah, maybe. But there's something here with that Jupiter and the fertility. And we know Elon likes to make babies.
So that's where, if we look at his track record out of his, 13 kids?
Yeah.
Only one was conceived naturally. It was Grimes. The rest were all in vitro.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, especially Ashley Sinclair, the last one, who was another one who was all about the Republican movement and then played like a role. And then she comes out and says, hey, that's Elon's kid. And then she is a nobody now and just kind of like is in it for the money, right?
Yeah.
That's a really weird situation. Like you're not even naturally having the kid with her. So I've never, I mean, unless that's the new gangster move, is like in vitro a girl and then just like bail. I just don't.
If you have
that's next level, right? Like what?
If you have Mars and Aqua in the 8th house, there it is.
Yeah,
right there.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop.
Just here. Here you go. I'm in vitroing you, but the doctor's doing it. But yeah, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, the track record though is that he is involved in these Republican girl circles. I mean, we also know that during the break off with Trump, that the drug thing for sure was real.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that just from him being out at parties back in the early 2010s, doing acid and doing the ecstasy,
ketamine,
and ketamine, right? And it explains a lot of the way he acts and looks and his vibe about things.
Yeah.
So I think he could be just kind of like part of this in a way that is really weird, and I'm not doubting that they're involved, but it's more of like what that looks like seems very, especially Sun Jupiter. It could be very, very nuanced, but also it's interesting too that Neptune, right? So he has a Jupiter Neptune conjunction, and her sun sits on his Neptune.
Yeah.
So maybe he's like keeping eyes or check on her without her knowing.
I don't know. This feels like a very, if this is true, if we're looking at something that has some traction here. It feels like there's a very protective side of Elon Musk, like with this relationship. This, like the Moon Chiron conjunction, Sun Chiron conjunction, they're squaring off at each other. And it's sort of like with Chiron, like, you know, the boo-boo, making up for the past wound or something. Like, what's really going, I mean, if this is true, what's really going on here is that there's some kind of weird, like, healing, you know, but it's also like with Neptune, you know, it's sort of covering it up, it's sort of clouding it, occulting it. So I don't know, man. There's just so many exact conjunctions here. I think they've got a connection.
Yeah.
And to the extent that they are going to be soulmates or whatever, that's, you know, to be determined.
Well, I think that's his natal Mars in Aquarius squares her sun, and it also is in square to his natal Jupiter Neptune. And I was born with Jupiter Neptune conjunct. Boy, in a fifth house, trust me, that is especially when I was younger, boy, you know, the
Glamour.
fantasies you have.
The
glamour. But what would be his glamour? A woman who's doing exactly what she's doing right now in Erika Kirk, meaning your husband dies, you don't act like it's that big a deal. It's almost like a show, and you get right back to work and you want to start to run this whole thing and start executing on business. And what is Elon's like? I'm going to sleep I'll sleep anywhere. I'll sleep on the couch. I don't care. I'll throw the kitchen sink out literally at Twitter. Kind of like his fantasy is a woman who would be more like that and not be so kind of forced like to be around him all the time, or somebody who would know themselves, somebody that would also be the kind of their own boss. And Scorpio there, almost like, I don't know why I get this, but with his Mars square her sun and Mars square his Jupiter Neptune, like this guy, when he gets hyped up, it also is claimed that he takes a lot of Adderall too. I think he kind of has a fetish over her.
Yeah.
And I can see him getting really hyped up and just like not thinking of the boundaries. Because you noticed that with Trump. Trump kind of got weird with him. Like he didn't understand boundaries really well.
Right.
And I think it even affected the fake relationship with Melania, right? Like, because you didn't see her around with the whole time. So I think what you're seeing is that now, how with Ashley Sinclair, like, oh, I'm gonna inseminate you with that, and then I'm out, and then I'm not gonna pay you until you make a big fuss about it. So I know that's like the gorilla move, right? Gorillas like take territory over the fact of like whoever gets to mate the female is the winner. And that's the king gorilla for the time being.
Yeah.
And he's kind of this fantasy of like, that's his fantasy with Mars square it. They might have that tension, but I think that it doesn't pay off. I don't think they get the like excitement out of it. I think it's more of like the ooh and the ahs, and then there's no real, oh, wow. But friend-wise and all that, and I'm not doubting that they're connected. I'm just saying that I don't think there's like love story. I think it's more,
right.
Oh, that was not what I thought it was going to be, but I like you. You're cool.
Well, it would, I mean, I have my own reasons why I don't think she was overflowing with grief, because I think she's handled, and that Jupiter in Gemini, when you look at it, and one of the inconjuncts in her chart with that Jupiter in Gemini, it's almost like she's a poster girl for split personality MK Ultra. I mean, I got into this last week when I did Erika's, 2 weeks ago when I did Erika Kirk's. Basically, I rectified her chart and put her as a Pisces rising with her Mars in Aries in the first house, Moon in Aries in the first house, but kind of almost intercepted, but not quite. And
so sun Pisces is sun, like sun in the 9th.
Yeah. Actually, more sun in the 8th. Sun in the 8th with Saturn, Neptune at the beginning on the midheaven or something like that. Yeah.
Got you.
So that was my rectification for her. She's got those.
That would make sense.
She's got those watery Piscean eyes too. I mean, if those are her real, eyeballs.
Well, they've changed in so many different videos, colors.
Yeah, but
I think too, she is a Scorpio, and there is this. She was already a millionaire before meeting Charlie. I mean, we don't have to go down. I'm sure you did on your show, and I'm sure people have heard what she used to be and how crazy that was never really talked about until the death of her husband, right? Like who she was.
Right. Nobody really knew Erika Kirk. No,
Yeah.
It's like it was like the Charlie Show.
Right.
And, but she worked for, who was it, McCormick real estate agency in New York. So she's basically doing real estate deals. I'm sure Trump was helping her. And
she was the casting director for Trump.
For the pageants.
And then was in it and then won it. And then and then of course her mom and dad are in huge defense contracts, and especially her mom, and they moved to Arizona in order to do that in 2020. So, but I think she's in it for the money. And I think that when you also watch, since Elon left, right, everybody thought he was going to lose a lot of money. He lost a lot, but then he also made the most money he's ever made before with Tesla, and it's done incredible, right? Where he's worth over $1 trillion now. So he also is the richest guy in the world. So guaranteed,
is he above Ellison now?
Yeah, he's like, because of Tesla, and a lot of the shareholders got together and let him. God, I forgot what the total is, but it's insane. It's insanity, and Tesla stock's super high. I mean, he got it when you do an A3B C Corp, when you start a startup in tech like that.
Right.
Those stocks for him were 0.00001.
Yeah, like a penny.
Right. So with the robots too, it just went super up, the Tesla robots, because the NVIDIA CEO just came out and just praised Elon, of course, for buying the most NVIDIA GPUs, which is the biggest company in the world, and that the robot technology of Tesla is superior than any other robot. And then, so there's been a lot of big gains for Elon, but he is the richest man in the world. And so she could be also trying to milk that a lot.
I think the milking that a lot part would go hand in glove with this. Especially that true note in the 8th house. And other people's money. Right? There it is.
Yeah, and Elon's the kind of guy, after you watch what happened with Ashley Sinclair, where you didn't find out till that girl made a fuss about it on the internet. Right?
Yeah.
So he could do that secretly. So the whole time he's like 2024, like running on the campaign trail, putting all this money, doing Pennsylvania, right? Like he's dealing with this girl that he doesn't care with, while at the same time he's having other kids with the girl that's an employee of Tesla.
Right.
That just, they all sit in their homes and then they just have their babies, but there's no emotional connection or no marriage connection. You're having my babies and I show up when I want and you get whatever you need.
Yeah, it's weird.
Very weird. So he's able to do these things and be secret, which she needs, and she likes that. That's her number one thing. Can you be secret?
Right.
So it's kind of interesting that Charlie Kirk is the opposite of what we think of that. But that means that Charlie Kirk had a lot of secrets that we don't know about. And that the second he started putting them out, she's reporting to whoever. And that's when the call's coming in, especially with what you saw with TPUSA in August and Tucker and all that. And just the watching the weeks of that, since that TPUSA at the beginning of August with Tucker Carlson, and then the debate about the Israel situation, and watching then him go on Megyn Kelly, him go on, PBD, all of it.
Right.
And then boom. And then, of course, Candace, I think, is doing a good job of covering like what was happening with the meeting, that was happening with Bill Ackman and all these other kind of things, and all the stresses. And then Tucker, of course, talked about the stresses that he was going under on phone calls and billionaires wanting to pull money from him, not just Bill Ackman, but others.
Yeah, bully.
And for
They weren't
Erika Kirk, that would be the biggest turnoff in the world. Nobody's thinking about it from an astrology lens. Like that, for that Scorpio and her positions, she's also a weird one born with a Saturn Neptune.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, and actually her Saturn's at like 0 Capricorn. So this Saturn squaring it, Neptune squaring her Saturn. There's a lot of funny business with her.
You mean Saturn Uranus?
Her Saturn Uranus conjunction, yeah. But her Saturn's 0 Cap. So this Neptune squaring it, and then Saturn and Neptune will meet at 0 Aries and square her natal Saturn.
Oh, right. Neptune square too. Yeah, right.
Yeah. There's a lot of funny business going on.
I would say.
And a lot of not things of integrity either.
Yeah.
But also they're pushing TP USA faith, and then they put it in the Oklahoma schools, and then that Oklahoma guy who was running the school districts resigned right after it.
Right. Right. Yeah, and they want to put these TP USA like chapels.
Faith. Yeah, it's called TP USA Faith. And what they're doing is
campuses.
It's the Reformation.
It is the Reformation.
It's let's mix Protestant Christianity with Judeo. So no, you will take the Sabbath off. That's what, if you think about what Charlie put out.
You're going to take Sunday off.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is the way they keep them together is they're going to start mixing them.
Yeah. Well, that's why they call it Judeo-Christian instead of just
Christian. And that's why they want the 10 Commandments from the Old Testament and Moses in schools. It's how do you tie? That's why you're seeing Ben. Shapiro. Here, let's give you $1 million because we know he wanted to fund people to go be Christians, right? This is what they want. This is like, if you look at especially the whole Daily Wire situation and how the CEO is gone and how he wanted to be in the movie industry and he overspent all their money to try and make movies and couldn't hang with Hollywood and had to bail.
Right.
It's like the way you make the money is, we create a church. Like the Mormons do, right? The Mormons are the wealthiest landowners, bigger than BlackRock.
And it's all nonprofit, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
running through the nonprofit.
That's where this is like, and you know what? Charlie Kirk was in the way at the end there. And I don't think he was having nice things with his wife, because that's one thing that we can't see is in any of his interviews really talking about his sweet, sweet wife, except for like the traditional, like, yeah, my wife, but like,
he talks about it in terms of family.
Correct. It's not like,
oh my God, my
right. Yeah. He's not making posts with her. And that's the other thing about their kids, right? Like they say, we don't want to post them, but then they have just pictures of them with their heads to, you see the back of their heads.
I mean, the kids are almost like props. You know, I mean, it's like there's no personality. There's no like, hey, look at us. You know, they got jam all over their faces. We got jam all over ours. They're occluded. Those kids are occluded, and maybe that's because they want to protect their privacy, or maybe it's because
they're not theirs. That's the big conspiracy out there right now. Is that there's no pictures of her pregnant.
Right.
There's none. There's right, and so even if you're wanting to be private, even celebrities. Even celebrities do it. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Or they were surrogate. They were surrogate.
In vitro babies, and who's
in vitro surrogate babies?
And who's the big baby daddy of in vitro? Elon Musk.
Right. So it's like, there's something off about all that, and I think that the Charlie Kirk thing martyred him like a Jesus, and of course,
I mean, he technically died on 9/11. He technically died on 9/11.
I know.
It was 9/11 in Japan, right across the date line. It's 9/11, and if they were gonna take him out, they wouldn't be able to have a 9/11 day where he's out on college campuses because you just don't, what are we talking about? 9/11? We're going to spill the beans? You have a bunch of groypers come out and talk about the dancing Israelis? Nah, I don't think so.
No.
We'll do it on 9/10 if we're going to do it. Right. So
Yeah, because if Charlie could have kept going with where he was going, TP Faith would have a problem with doing the 10 Commandments in schools.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that hard to just go, if you're a Christian, and just use the New Testament and Jesus' teachings, if that's what you really wanted to be a good person. But of course, all those books in the Bible, the good ones are the ones that were found and weren't put in. And those are the ones that are like Greg Braden just dropped and showed and talked about and kind of woke up Joe Rogan a little bit with the book of Thomas, the book of John, and these other books that were found on the Nile in Egypt that were not used.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, it's the real spiritual books. So there was even an elitist, and that Jesus, I like how Greg Braden said, he's like, Jesus wasn't just the nice guy you thought he was. He was also, a spiritual guy, but he was in his own club who knew the secrets, and not everybody could know all of it and those are those teachings.
Yeah.
And then you have this 3A Atlas thing happening, and you have like the world like kind of losing themselves over the Charlie Kirk thing and becoming more Christian. And you're seeing, because of what the left did so hard, which I think was all funded by the left and the right, the same way that they're funding the right now, the left is funding the right to do the things that they don't want to have to do with like immigration and then the war stuff, right? Like what you're seeing is they're all in bed, and you're seeing everybody kind of become like lost and going, oh, I'm going to become a Christian now. And then so it just came out. I forgot who put it out, but all Christian churches in California, if you go there, your phone, they know who you are, because like there's like Israeli intelligence around those churches that are recording everybody's phones, and they listed all the churches. It's really crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but then the exposure of the Pluto and Aquarius is where I wanted to go, of like the 3A Atlas. Greg Braden brings up that he thinks for sure on the dark side of the moon, because the Chinese are saying they want to go there and that they're going to live stream what's back there. He thinks we're going to find our own writing, right? Like 26,000 years ago, of the warnings of what's happening now, which he could be totally wrong. But at the same token, just whatever is about to happen, it's the same message in a different way. That these religions were seeded by not natural beings because of the fact, of course, of the genes that have been altered that make us here, and that we don't make sense here at all. He also said a really interesting part that I've been trying to put out there is like that, like people are so worried about the environment and all this kind of stuff. Like, the idea of what they're trying to do with climate change, it's actually to bring us to a period that's really bad for humanity. We're not even close to the bad shit they say, but they're trying to actually bring us to bad stuff. If we go to carbon by 2030, if we go to carbon neutral, zero carbon, we're going back to the worst age it could ever be. And he thinks it's for some sort of other species that's overlooking all this, that they're wanting to kind of make the earth more for that other.
Oh, well, sure. I mean, this has been kind of
That's pretty.
This has been on the table for a while, right? They're terraforming the planet so that the other species can show up and feel right at home.
Right.
I mean, this has been something that people have been talking about for decades now. Before we split on this chart, there's a couple of things I kind of wanted to bring up here. One is that I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to a lot of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff until that crazy trial. So I wasn't aware of the fact that Elon Musk was even in a relationship with Amber Heard. Were you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And I'm pretty up on this stuff.
Yeah, that's like, well, because I was doing all the Hollywood ET stuff for a decade plus, right? And 17 Mag. I did all the astrology for all that stuff. So even though I didn't follow it, I followed it enough to know, oh, okay, back then.
So I felt like, and it fits this profile of Elon Musk, which is very discreet. And he's got that Venus in the 12th house, conjunct Ceres, and that's affairs, hidden affairs, occulted affairs, occluded affairs. And like, so again, I think this kind of fits the profile of Musk, if not the two of them together. Getting back to your Ashley St. Clair model, it's like all of a sudden, who the fuck is she? Where did she come from? And oh yeah, you just dropped your sperm in by drone or something. Is that what you did? Right? But who knew about Elon Musk and Ashley St. Clair?
Well, and what's interesting is if you take the Amber Heard situation with Elon Musk, he was able to leave without her, and she was diagnosed by psychiatrist in that trial as having what is it?
Bipolar or multiple
No,
personality?
she was BPD, borderline personality disorder, right? So like for him to exit out of that without getting any backlash means he knows how to leave these people, these women, in a position where they're okay.
Yeah.
And he didn't testify against her,
right,
or take a side in that court case either.
Well, if you look at the synastry between them, they're all over each other's chart. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting though, because like Amber Heard, I mean, geez, she had the guys that she had in the elevator while she was with Johnny Depp. Like I forgot his name, James whatever,
Franco,
and then watching his career during that period tank with the other women and the girls in the acting school that he had. It's kind of weird how, there is like, maybe Elon's a lot kind of like bigger than we think in the hand that kind of is the fall of whoever he touches, including Trump and everybody else. Like, he kind of is
he's the modern version of the Reaper from space, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, and he's the only guy who's actually knows how to get up into space. I mean, NASA's trying to recreate going to the moon, and they can't even do that. Why would you scrap everything from the Apollo program, like literally, and all the documents? Like, why would you do that? You didn't go.
Have you ever read Ingo Swann's books at all?
No.
You know who Ingo Swann is?
No.
Ingo Swann was the guy who trained the remote viewers, Project Grill Flame. He was a psychic.
Okay.
He was an antique dealer, collector. And there's some very interesting stories about him remote viewing the moon. Like, you don't have to physically go to that guy. Went
right.
to that.
Well, that's what's so interesting about the psi, right? That you're hearing about. That's all Neptune. If you actually look up the glyph Neptune in the Unicode or in Greek alphabet, it's psi, right?
Yeah.
So it's all connected to that stuff.
Yeah. He talked about how when he was, he literally projected his awareness and consciousness to the moon. And he ran across, these are his words, a group of aliens that were on the moon. And they were conscious of him viewing them. And they started to attack him. And he had to exit that state very quickly in order to not be psychically and physically harmed by what he was viewing there. And he's got this crazy story where, because he had these military connections with Project Grill Flame, this guy came to his house one night. He said, "Hey, you want to see something?" He said, "Yeah, sure." He said, okay, get in the car. He's like, okay. So he gets in the car and they take him out to this airstrip somewhere in California. And he gets on this craft that is like hypersonic and can cover huge amounts of ground very quickly. And not only can it cover ground quickly, it can hover. Right, so it's got vertical lift, and it's got sort of the diagonal lift as well. He says that they flew to Alaska in about 45 minutes in this thing at high altitude, and they parked this craft like there's this massive lake in Alaska, but it's very remote, and they parked this craft just kind of in the background, the periphery of this lake. And not long after they arrived, this massive mothership comes out of the lake, out of the water, and then begins to lift off and then take off. And it's like they knew that this thing would come out at a certain time. And they showed that to Swan, and it wasn't theirs. Right? It wasn't theirs. It was something else. So, what's the name of the book? I think it's called Acceleration or something like that. You might enjoy it.
Yeah, so, I mean, actually, because I've hung around that whole like crew that's around now and all that. So, like, I know, yeah. So, like, now that I guess the name wasn't clicking with me, but all the stories about that I know about. And that's what's really interesting is that the remote viewing is kind of an interesting part of our Neptune Pisces kind of talk about as the end is coming here is like that kind of where spirituality is kind of like the last chapter of Neptune Pisces is everybody's obsessed with remote viewing, even though it's part of, I think, everybody's spiritual tool bag. Like it's not that extra special or something, in my opinion. It's like we all do it.
We all do it.
But
so
and that it's connected,
penetration is the book right here. Penetration is the book right there, and the question of extraterrestrials. So if people want to check his books out, he's a really fascinating guy, and he got paid to basically show these guys, and he came up with the protocols and everything. So he's definitely a trailblazer. He's a Virgo too. Look at that, September 13th. September 13th, 14th, 1933.
But that's what's really weird is that we're at this weird turning point at the end of Neptune and Pisces as it comes back in just weeks. And you have religious going crazy, like exploding out of nowhere, but then you also have like the spiritual community. And I don't know if you just saw Tucker's last episode, but it was like he brought on this researcher.
About the Antichrist, Kabbalah, and like
that everybody, all the occult, and that it's everywhere. It's involved in everybody in tech. Which there's some truth to that, but there's also some not truth. As somebody who lives in California as an astrologer, he's kind of talking about me in many ways, right? It's like publicly in tech and in California and has dealt with all these people. Yeah. They're nowhere near close to getting it, if that makes sense. One. Two, it's another way to kind of, I think, be the unacceptance, because there is a big kind of shush energy with Neptune, right? Like, I don't want to hear that. I'm going to push that away. And denial is huge. And that's what you're seeing in religion right now is this huge like denial of like what's about, they don't, it's subconscious too. They don't realize it of what's about to drop on them. So they're not going to let it go. When alien stuff is found or the origins of humanity and what really happened, there's going to be a full-blown denial. It's going to be the biggest addiction of all time. Right. It's worse than crack. It's worse than heroin. Like denialism at the highest place. because they're all connected to the one book. And what's really weird timing wise with Saturn and Neptune meeting in Aries is if you go back to 4361 AD or BC, it's 6,400 years ago. That's the time in which a lot of biblical scholars are saying around the beginning of the Old Testament is about 100 to 200 years plus or minus. They don't have the exact because they can't do that. But if you think about the transit of Saturn Neptune at 0 Aries, that this is the end of the whole beginning of the Bible from the Old Testament to where it's at, where they don't add much anything anymore. They only add saints. That's the only thing they add in the Catholic Church, right? Like the Protestants don't do anything. They don't add it to it, right? So it's at the end, and the new story that's separate from that is going to show up for the world, and there's a denial about that. And that's what 3i Atlas is, I think, just bringing it's the marker of wake up, the new story's coming.
Though, they've been setting us up for the alien god trip for a while. I mean, Eric von Däniken is still alive, okay? And he wrote Chariots of the Gods in the 70s. And that was on...
The New Eden, too. There's another book, The New Eden.
I have the New Eden. It's great.
Yeah, that book, I think, is more of what...
That's where the Grim Reaper stuff shows up. It is the New Eden.
Yeah.
So you and I both have that. But they've been priming us for a while. And then you've got the Ancient Alien series, you know, and that is, I interviewed that guy one time. That dude, he didn't believe in any of it.
I know. He was just more of like, I mean, he was on History Channel and made some money. And that's when cable TV productions were just like
he
throwing money.
He came out of the bodybuilding world, marketing the Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilding tours because he's Austrian, like Schwarzenegger. That was his first connection with Schwarzenegger, and then somehow he gets hooked up with what's his name from Coast to Coast,
George Norrie, who's stepping
Norrie,
down. Yeah,
George Norrie was the executive producer of those shows.
Yeah.
So.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And then it moved into a lot of the people that were on those shows ended up on Gaia.
Yeah.
And the ones that like, no. I mean, you did it bootstrapped the real way. Like, I'm just an astrologer. I'm going to teach astrology on a whiteboard, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That's how I found you.
Yeah.
Before your videos, but like, you know, I'm like, who's the guy that's teaching astrology on here? Oh, he's cool. He knows what he's talking about. He knows the shit.
That was a ride, man. It was a real ride.
But I think it's interesting because I get that you're saying how they've been setting us up for this, but then I also look at how they've been setting up religions for so long, right?
Well, so what they do is they create the Great Schism.
Yeah, and there was a huge supernova, 1054, during the Great Schism of the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church.
Right.
And it was the only time in history we've ever seen a supernova during the day. So it's as brighter than stars. It's almost as bright as the sun. And it was hanging out for 3 weeks. And then at night, it hung around for like a year. And during that schism, at the exact same time when it appeared, none of the Western world wrote about it except in coins during that schism. But the Chinese recorded it, the people in the East, and then the natives over on this side of the world, right? In America. So it happened, but it's weird. It's like the Don't Look Up movie. Like there's something about when all the like 3A Atlas, like and I like Tucker, but like when it comes to him and his religious thing right now, because like he's really
I think he's scared. I think he's scared shitless.
Yeah.
Right.
And but it's the whole when things start showing up that are, and there's actually a supernova that looks like it's going to be showing up by the naked eye this year. And that's actually, I predicted it with Anne. We did all the history. It's like, this is going to be a supernova this year, just like 1054 in the Great Schism.
Yeah.
But yeah, this will be the great final schism, I guess. But I don't think it's just going to be a one and done in a day, and then we all just move merrily into the next round. It's not going to. It's going to be messy.
The schizo schism.
Yeah, and I always think of like the change of ages. Like when, let's say Jesus dies, the church doesn't even get formed in the ideas of it till 325.
Right.
I mean, so if we really think about like there's gonna be people who are gonna be holding on and not believing whatever they see. That's just part of the cycles. But then we get to the greater cycles, and we're moving into something that we can't even recognize right now. And that's what I think is exciting. But a lot of people are terrified because they're gonna have to like let go of what was really seeding those religions and who was behind them intentionally to make people not question things and to follow kind of a protocol, to be good little boys and girls in a way that they knew that their inner soul couldn't possibly do anyway.
Yeah.
And then create this idea. Well, you could say that, there's natural sin and the ideas of natural sin that come out. Right. It's very odd to me because it's very trapping people, and that I think that's why I really had hope again with Greg Braden kind of representing the spiritual community on Joe Rogan and actually doing a great job and actually like saying, hey, this is about humanity and spirituality. It's not about religion and the power that we have within, and how you and I have been talking about this be the future thing. Like,
yeah.
If you have the religious aspect on you, you're never going to be able to actually do any of the things that are actually the best that you can do, because technically you're not allowed to put yourself in that kind of a way. It's kind of weird.
So one of the things I noticed is that there are celebrities, we'll call them celebrities, influencers, that are connected to this new version of the right. Like, do you know who Chad Prather is?
Yeah.
So Chad Prather's a Sagittarius, right? So you're gonna get the religious bent from Chad Prather, and just out of the blue on Twitter, he starts doing this Heavenly Father prayer.
Oh, really?
Right? Oh yeah. I'm like, where is this coming from? And it's starting to have like a bit of a domino effect. So I think Jason Whitlock saw him. And did you hear about Mark Sanchez?
Yeah, I just saw he got arrested, but he's in the hospital at the same time.
Right. And so Jason, without knowing anything about what happened, he went there and he said a prayer, Heavenly Father, please look over Mark Sanchez and blah, 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 blah. Right. So it's like, it's a thing now on Twitter to do this. And then turns out that, well, maybe Mark Sanchez was fucked up and trying to get into somebody's car that he shouldn't have been in and got into a hassle with someone. And the dude he got into a hassle with, pulled a blade on him and stuck him. And so then Jason had all
Sounds like a guy that went to USC.
Right, exactly.
Sorry, I'm from California, so sounds like an SC quarterback to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you remember when he was playing? He was on.
I do. Trust me. I know.
Was he with the Trojans or the Jets? And
he was with the Trojans.
He was eating the hot dog.
He was the hot shot that came out of SC and then just became a flop.
Well, he actually did okay. He
did okay, but I'm just saying he didn't
better than Leinart. Like Leinart was terrible.
Yeah.
He follows Leinart. He wins a Heisman. He takes the Jets to 2 championship playoff games. They lose both those games, and then he reaches the peak and he comes down the other side. He has the butt fumble, the ignominious butt fumble. He's a Scorpio, isn't he? Isn't Sanchez a Scorpio?
He looks like one, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man.
To be honest, when he popped up and TMZ posted it yesterday, I was like, I forgot about you. I kind of forgot about him.
Well,
I was like,
he's been calling games, right? He's actually been doing. That's why he was Indy. He was in Indy because He was going to call the Raiders versus the Colts today.
The Colts. Oh, that makes sense.
So that's why he was there. But there was a time where he was on the sidelines with the Jets and he was eating a hot dog.
I remember that.
It reminded me of Quentin Daly.
I just remember I expected a lot more out of him. Maybe that's because I'm from SoCal, so I was like, he was the number one pick. He was the guy.
He flashed a bit more than Matt Lang. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. He was like, all right, you're gonna be the guy, and
But
I mean, he wasn't as good as any of the Mannings, right? Like you think oh, maybe he might be better than all these guys out there, or Brady, or anybody. No, or even like a Phillip Rivers.
No, the Sagittarius, Philip Rivers.
Right. So, but it's interesting to see them. It's happening in the sports world too. Baseball, I don't know if you saw the stats, but baseball at its highest year, and it's now 3 years year over year, the biggest sport being watched, and the attendance and it's insane.
I went to Ewan Kauffman Stadium this summer and saw the Royals with my kid.
Right, so more people are going.
We're A's fans, so we went. We're not going to go to fucking Sacramento. Plus, I like to go to. Plus, I like.
But that's not even a. It's not even a pro baseball field. It's a freaking AAA field. I know.
So I have a freaky stat, man. My son and I have been to 13 or 14 A's games, and every single other sport that we've been to, whether it's the Raiders, going to Jerry World up in Dallas, which we did a couple of years ago on Thanksgiving, every Warriors game we've been to, except for the last one we were at in Dallas, those teams have won. We have not been to a losing A's game.
Wow.
We have crazy.
Which is rare because their losing streak is hot.
So we every time we go, they freaking win. We went to go see him play the Cubs and they won. We've gone to see him play in Texas multiple times, in Houston, once in Dallas. The 2012 season, we saw 9 games, and they didn't lose any of those games.
Right.
So we have this crazy streak. Anyway, getting back to baseball, the thing about baseball now is that
it's pushing the Christian thing hard. What's his name for the Dodgers? He just retired, but the pitcher Kershaw, when they did the LGBTQ Pride Week, where they all had to wear pride hats, he really put a Bible verse on his hat, right?
Yeah, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
And then you saw, that was a couple years ago. But what you're seeing too is sports are now, except for that's where the NFL's gotten weird with the halftime show with this Bad Bunny thing. And then now you have TPUSA coming out. We'll do a halftime show, which it's not going to be about the halftime show and the music. It's going to be about pushing their stuff.
Right.
And from what I've heard or what they said, they're going to have Creed, supposedly. And I'm like, that is just the biggest, oh my God. I would not watch that in my life.
This halftime show,
and that's
Israel.
Creed, right? Well, TPUSA Faith, come by and pick up a book. We'll have a TPUSA person stop by your house. That's what's going to be next.
Come to the Holy Land. Visit the Holy Land.
And I think that there's going to be a new religion, like this really weird Protestant Judeo mix that Charlie Kirk was pushing through Erika Kirk now, and this whole thing. And people are going to buy it because they're going to see the other stuff and be like, I can't. There's no way. I'm not. That's not what God said. But then if they were to just read even what books we're supposed to be in, or if they were to actually see how the church at the beginning, or even if they read even Jesus' own teachings, he never wanted a church.
No, he didn't want a church at all.
And a lot of the evidence is showing Jesus might have not even been crucified and died and made his way to Spain. And there's a lot of interesting stuff. It's written in books and so forth, like the living Jesus, you mean, or the dead one? Which one right now? Oh, yeah, but you
Well,
can
that's
come
what
here.
that's what Kazantzakis wrote about the Last Temptation of Christ, right?
Right. Yeah, and then also how weird that in the last like week and a half, the Templar Knights got invited back into the Catholic Church after the last 800 years.
Oh, and who has the Templar cross? Pete Hegseth.
And Erika Kirk.
And she
was wearing it.
I think she's a bit of a passer around a little bit. Did you see?
Yeah, I was gonna say how many? She's like such a Scorpio. Let me collect the dude like off his nightstand. Like I'll take his, or if he's dead, I'll take his necklace and put it on.
Right.
So Scorpio. But Pete Hegseth brought up the Nordic, which is so interesting that all these alien encounters and stuff are about these Nordic fucking. And then what's weird is like Epstein with his whole Zorro Ranch in New Mexico with the whole like genetics thing he was trying to do. All the women were Nordic and Scandinavian, and then all the men that what's her name that she's in jail right now? Ghislaine Maxwell. She only had Scandinavian men around her that she would bring in for her that were around her.
Yeah, I think it's some kind of weird Jewish Aryan lust complex.
And that's what's so weird is it's very much, and I hate to say it, but it is bringing the Nazi thing back.
I mean,
it's a different.
I got in some hot water with a couple people on Twitter. One in particular, yesterday, where I said, I don't dig the new conservatives because they feel a lot like the boot at the neck version of this conservative party. And you can kind of see this thing being rolled out and people are cheering on. This whole thing with ICE is just completely ginned up. Like ICE will go into places and they will piss people off. It's like hitting the hornet's nest. Let's hit the hornet's nest. Let's get the useful idiots to hit the streets. Oh, look, we've got trouble now.
That's what happened in Germany.
Yeah.
That's how they did it. That was the beginnings, was them coming around and messing around. And
let's stir up the useful idiots. Oh, Stephen.
I mean, and it's the same astrology.
We've got a terror threat now in this country. Yeah, you help create it. You help fund it because the Catholic Church funded the whole. So I get that Biden has to take the credit for the 8 million or 12 million illegal immigrants across the border, but who housed them? Who worked with the government to give them? Including, I don't know if you saw last week, California it just came out, the CDL license for all the drivers. They just said no name known. Right.
And just a picture of a guy. But we never saw that. But so Biden takes the ownership because he was president. But all the NGOs that owned all the Red Roof Inns and all these hotels from Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, where they were all living, was Catholics. Was the Catholics.
Yep.
So
liberation theology.
Right, and they're not liberal. So you have the liberals opening the gates, but you have the conservatives providing the services.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what makes it really predetermined and preset and really gross to me. And then, this transit of Uranus is the transit that does bring out an extremely. At some point, people are going to have to themselves, like Christians might one day, and Jews and Muslims and Catholics are going to have to get over the story they were told because there's something different and that seeded that. Same way a Republican might have to get over that they've gone into too fascist of a party at some point. They're going to have to realize where's that line and when are you going to own it. And left people are going to have to accept that they've gone full. Look at what's happening in New York, right? You're going, okay, democratic socialist. No, that's socialism edging on communism, right? So you have it going like way extreme, and people they don't want to feel like they did anything wrong or they weren't backing it, even though you just can't take ownership and call something. It doesn't matter what side you are. Like, not that hard to do. It's not that hard to be like, okay, the writing's on the wall. Like, this is exactly what happened last time. And it's happening. And to be honest, the Charlie Kirk situation, even if you looked at the TPUSA and the red and the black and the color, I'm like, if you want to use Pink Floyd The Wall, we can use that. It looked like that movie. I was just like, what?
Speaking of
And
movies,
then,
are you familiar with Platoon?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, that Martin Sheen or Charlie Sheen, but Charlie got a lot of his insight from his dad from being in Apocalypse Now in that movie. I just watched the Charlie Sheen documentary. It's so good. Oh my God.
He's an interesting character. Mars and Scorpio, right? He's got Mars and Scorpio.
Yeah.
Is it conjunct Jupiter or something like that? He's got a wild Mars conjunction.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He's a Virgo.
He's a Virgo. There's that scene in Platoon where they're out on patrol and they find Manny down by the river, right? And it's like Barnes, one of the greatest roles of all time, Tom Berenger as Barnes. The scene now when he's underground in their little hutch, and he said, "What do you all know about death?" Right? That scene is one of the best fucking scenes in cinema. But Barnes, this is what Charlie Sheen's character in the narration says. We found Manny down by the river, and Barnes was going to go back to the village, and he was our avenging angel, right? And it feels like we're in that part of Platoon right now.
Yeah.
Right? And Trump is the avenging angel. He's like Barnes right now. And all these people who got fucked around and fucked over by their liberal friends, Jan and HR, right? COVID, their family, all that stuff, right? Now Trump is Barnes. And he's gonna take out some revenge on the fucking village. And all those guys, right, in Charlie Company, they were happy. They were like, let's go. Let's burn this fucker down. And that's where we are in Platoon. And you can see this. You can see this on the right. They don't care. And they don't care whether or not Gavin Newsom or somebody else comes in later if we have another election. That will do the exact same thing to them. And if you follow, what's his name, the Russian agent who talks about what happens with the
yeah,
right?
I forgot his name. Yeah, how the KGB has been
he said
slow walking in society.
Yeah.
How to take it over.
And what he says is he says that whenever a revolution happens, right, when it fully comes into fruition, they will take out the true believers.
Yeah.
So what we see now is we see this current administration taking on the liberal left, through these demonstrations, right? Like they're creating this scenario where they're all, these horrible people. They are terrorists. They celebrate Hamas. They celebrate Palestine, and we're going to take them out. Like we're literally doing Israel's bidding here. We're going to take up the liberal left, the one voice that says, "Hey, Gaza good, Israel bad," and then you have the right cheering them on. And then what will happen is that once they're done taking out the liberal left, they'll go after the other side. They'll say, "Oh, yeah, well, guess what? There's a new game in town here." And
Yeah, Stalin, that was the first thing he did, is the people who truly, like, those were the people he killed in the wheat fields and the millions.
Yeah,
And
he killed his closest associates. Right, the
yeah, or
people that
even
supported him.
in socialism, like a fascist socialist like Hitler, like the military, he treated them like crap. Only the SS were the ones that like came in, and the military kind of, that's why
Yuri Bezmenov.
Yes, that's his name. But like, you study history, who tried to kill Hitler was the military, not the SS part of the military, but the original just German, the old guard, military old generals that were in, right? They tried to get him out. And so it's like, and they pushed them to the side and made them go fight, and they didn't get any special treatment as the military unless you were SS, right? It was like you had to be hardcore Nazi in order to be a general that actually got any kind of good duty or praise, or especially with propaganda. And so, we're seeing the same thing now. And
Well,
what's sad is they used religion. It's fascist if it's religious, because that's what Hitler did, even though Hitler didn't believe in it. And that's the irony, is you're seeing Trump, who does not believe in Jesus. He does not. He does not go to church. He does not believe. Okay. I know people want to believe it, but he doesn't. And you see him pushing it and allowing it. And just like Hitler did, but Hitler tried to change all the churches. And that's what the TPUSA movement's doing. So if you actually look at the SS, they went into the churches and they all thought they were, hey, what do you mean? We're a Christian. No, you're not our Christian. And all the churches had to change as well in Nazi Germany. And so like you're seeing that take over right now with TPUSA.
Yeah. Propaganda is the word I wanted to pin, because we are rife with propaganda. And it's not just about religion or war. By the way, let's close out the war segment here. Did you see Pete Hegseth at the Navy Air Force game? And he was in the stands with the Navy at the beginning of the game, and he's in the winning locker room.
I know.
Yeah. So, and he's pumping
Central
these
casting.
guys. Central casting, absolutely.
I mean, if you really think about it, like when Trump says central casting, I mean, everybody in the administration was on television, including Judge Janine, too, right? And then even Erika Kirk, you could find up her old TV shows and reality shows and all that. I mean,
all military too, by the way.
Right. So it's like,
we're almost all military, not all of them, but most of the military.
Although, I mean, the one thing I agree with Pete Hegseth, since I'm ex-military, is that when I was in, we had to do PTA tests every 6 months. That was the standard. So he just brought it backwards to the way it was when I was in 20 plus years ago.
Right.
The fact that they got rid of that is kind of insane. Right. So like so there is that part where he's like, we're not here to just dilly-dally. We're here to, it's life or death. This is defending the country. I agree with that stuff, but it's the in-between nuance stuff of like, we're not the Nordic warriors here, right? It's like, why are you bringing that up? There's the little things that also are like, that's never happened before, bringing all these one-star generals out of their bases across the country, all these different countries, Germany, all of our bases around the world, and bringing them all into one room.
There had to be another message besides get in shape, fatsos.
Correct. And it's the same time as the 3A Atlas, the deal happening in Gaza, Israel, and the Ukraine-Russia war at the same time.
And we have a government shutdown.
And there's a government shutdown. And the military isn't getting paid.
All right.
So imagine being in there and being a little overweight. You're not getting paid. So you're like, I can't go to Taco Bell on my base anymore, or the Pizza Hut, because that's all they put on there is McDonald's, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, the standard.
Right.
Or you just choose to go, I'll take my meal pass, which I did because you know what? It was all you could eat buffet at the fucking base every day, like morning, noon, night. You know, some people just thought that was like below them. So, you know, it's like cooler that you can go out to Taco Bell on base. Like, come on. I didn't care. I learned that quick. But now, if you had chosen that, and when all this funding's not around, it's not like you can just in one day go, you know what, I wanted to get that meal pass now. That's like a month conversion. It's a month conversion. It takes a month to change. You tell a yeoman and you go to admin and they work the paperwork and they have to do the 30 days of whenever the pay periods are and go, okay, that starts and your meal card will activate on the day of we all get paid on the 1st. Like, you know, so, but there's none of that happening right now.
Right.
So if you're in the military, like a lot of military wives and their husbands, and if you're a little overweight, now you're getting told you got to do PT daily. You got to have PT checks every 6 months. And if you don't pass, it's not nice. It's not like, oh yeah, no big deal. It's like, no. Okay. If you don't do that, then we're going to discharge you and you're not going to get a good discharge. You'll never get a job after that. And you're not going to get any of your benefits back. And you're not going to get your GED or your GI Bill, and you're not going to get your veterans benefits.
Right.
So that's putting it like hardcore, like we have to prepare for something.
Hanks is a Gemini.
Yeah, and he, I mean, you know, give it credit. It wasn't like he didn't serve. He served. He's also obsessed with Templar Knights. He's got it tattooed all over him.
Don't you think there's some resentment from the generals that this guy is the head of the Department of War, but they can't do anything about it because they have to report to him now? That's my sense.
Yeah, I think because we haven't seen a Department of War, if we're going to use their term, even though Congress has to pass the name change, so it's technically still the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
You're used to pencil pushers and politicians. But to see that it wasn't even a big officer, right? An enlisted guy who was on TV afterwards.
Well, contrast that with the 3 generals that Trump had around him in the first term.
Right. So, you know, if you were any officer rank, you would be like, but I'll be honest, because I was in and I went to my air crew school is across from OCS in the Navy, where all the officers go.
Yeah.
And we used to be able to make fun of the officers while they were in officer training because we were already in the military and they weren't. They are dorks. They're the ones who go get their 4-year degree. There's only about 2 to 3% that are badass that go, right, that become lieutenants, and they're usually Army or something like that, or Marine. That do some hardcore shit. If you're in the Navy, you're either going to sit on a, you're gonna go, and then you're gonna go sit somewhere and just tell people what to do, and your responsibility is looking over the equipment on a boat or sub, or doing nuke or doing something, or if you want to be a pilot. But majority of them are not that. Majority of them are just you're this command, this is your duties, and you're told duties from bigger commands. So it's like you're a corporate manager.
Yeah.
That's what you are.
That's for sure.
You know, it's like The Office. You're a Steve Carell. That's what I always looked at any officer that didn't do any intense kind of shit when I was in, was like, yeah, that's all you are. Unless you're in command, which then, you know, in the Navy, we actually have commander as a rank. But, you know, unless you're a commander and you actually are in charge of a F-18 squadron, or you're in charge of your own sub, or you're in charge of the actual, like, you're a rear admiral of an actual, like, huge battle ship or a cruiser, or you're a Marine in charge of, like, the whole entire base and all the troops at Pendleton, or you know what I mean? Like that's when those guys don't care. It's the guys that I think you picked up on that are like, I'm a 1-star general. I'm overweight. I have diabetes. I was forced to take a COVID shot. My wife hates me. I'm only making this much money because the military, you don't make that much money. Right? It's not like they're just like picking and playing stocks either. And I'm just like hoping to get to 20 years. Maybe I've hit my 20 years, so I've got retirement, but I want to push this as far as I can get to hopefully maybe jockey for a spot at a defense company.
Right.
So,
but
but
not everybody's a Stan McChrystal.
But I think that's where I think what we're in now is I think that even those generals are thinking, this isn't good because those defense contracts aren't like cushy jobs anymore. Those guys are actually having to make weapons right now, and they're actually having to come up with, wild stuff. And actually a lot of that is Palmer Luckey and his drone business, right? Yeah. And drone technologies and all these new tech and robots and, new missile systems and Skunk Works and what they've been pushing out with Lockheed and all that stuff, like, is pretty insane, the tech. So it's almost kind of like all those positions are taken.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's kind of like, I would hate to be in the military right now because of the fact that it's having to correct itself, and that's not going to be easy. But then they're obviously, the writing's on the wall. If it's that public, the Secretary of Defense coming out and ordering all of our weapons manufacturers to literally like pump it like we've never pumped before since World War II with all the weapons.
Yeah.
That would be scary if you were in command of a ship, or you were in command of a squadron, or you were in command of a tank command. That that means all you're doing is you're in your head. You're looking over at wherever you're based at, if it's the hangar or if it's the tank group, and you're looking at all those tanks and going, yeah, they haven't seen any action, and we don't have that much ordnance. My ordnance guys are bored, but we're going to be full, and you're going to start seeing the orders come in. That's getting real. So that's more of the, I think, scare than Pete Hegseth. I think they're more thinking, I really wasn't planning on going to war. I thought I was close to going home, right? Like retiring. And then you have to remember, when you retire, it's not like you're clean break, or even if you get out of the military after 4 years or 6 years, you get put into, you might not be active duty anymore, but we can call you back up. So there's guys who just left who are looking at that too, going, oh fuck, I'm not active duty right now, but I could be called up. It's usually 2 to 4 years afterwards. That's part of your discharge.
So yeah, well,
nobody's thinking about that. And I think that's like, I think what sucks about this astrology is that we are going to hit this convergence of all these things at once.
Yes.
And
yes,
I think with our show we're going to be doing out in Texas and meeting with people, it's going to be nice to remember that if there's a convergence of those things happening, it's the convergence of us as humans and what we can go create and do that's more exciting to counter that, or use that energy in a different way. That's what's nice about astrology, is the planets might be doing the same thing, but it's how that energy is used still. And the timing is at the same time. So it's literally like the same time that the craziness will happen, that the best things will happen. But that'll be the world you're going to be choosing here. And I think what I've gotten from our convo even more, this is so Neptune about to come back into Pisces with Saturn here. Like, this is where you really do have to cut yourself from the addiction and media and the toxicity of these influencers right now. Like, you need they're all bought and paid for, and they're sitting all cush, but they have to report what they are told.
Did you see the video of Sean Hannity, Clay Travis, that guy Buck? I can never remember his last name, but he and Travis took over for Rush Limbaugh. Limbaugh passed away. They had an Instagram reel, and they were all talking about. There was more too. They were all talking about Israel.
No way. I've not seen that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then Clay Travis is walking around the streets of Jerusalem, and he's very kind of pensive, and yeah, this is profound, man. I'm in this place, and they're just throwing down their support for Israel, like without any kind of equivocation. And I think those were the three guys that I saw before I had to stop watching it because I was getting sick to my stomach. So, got a little propaganda piece here for you guys before we get out of here.
Yeah.
And I was at, this gets into a little bit of the Saturn, Aries, Neptune, Aries, like dealing with like the next round of whatever it is that we're going to have to deal with, particularly on the medical front. And I feel like, we talked about this earlier, which is there's going to be hell to pay, like with this COVID stuff, and we're seeing the receipts come in. Deion Sanders has another series of clots coming through his legs, and he's probably going to leave University of Colorado as a result of this.
Jordan Peterson is been in ICU for over a month. I know. Yeah, he's on death's door. I know. I told some people close to my circle, not publicly, that I think it was Natalie and Anna, and I told a couple people recently, like a couple weeks ago, they were asking about it. I'm like, he's not going to make it long.
Yeah.
And people looked at me like, what? I'm like, if you looked at his chart, he's got everything at fixed positions the first couple degrees in.
Yeah. And when he came back from Russia after Michaela took him, he wasn't this. I mean,
and he took the shots.
He took the shot. I mean, he was the same guy, but he wasn't the same guy.
Right.
Right. Like he had Tommy John surgery and it didn't help him.
No, and whatever he's now, they've been trying to tell people it's from mold.
No.
And that's what, I think what you're going to allude to, what we've been talking about, that you're going to drop right now is like, show what you got, and then I'll say what I got to say, because this is like...
Yeah, this is nutso, right?
It's very they live times a million, too.
So I was at the grocery store yesterday. This is the checkout stand. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, I like the spooky cat puzzles and coloring cat. I mean, I like that. But drop down. This is time. And then you have very well autism, ADHD, autism, anti-inflammation, breathe, time, AD. This is all
diabetes, and then thyroid, which the number 2 medication in America that's prescription is thyroid medication.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 1 is, of course, for blood, getting the fat out of blood.
Right.
Or thinning the fat out.
Right. So
but it's interesting, yeah.
Priscilla Presley, healing after
right on Pila. Yeah, I know. And People being the last standing magazine of pop culture and just people of, it's kind of crazy that it's kind of at that place with magazines too. But it's kind of interesting because to me, this is what they're going to do for the shot, right? They're going to deny, even though all the scientific papers, but the number one things that are happening from vaccines in general are the top row. And then you also have this mixture with thyroid, and like that kind of goes down into all this more cancer stuff that's happening.
Right.
And you're seeing all these people with cancer that are 20, 30 years old getting stage 4 cancer out of nowhere, like all the time now.
Yeah.
And all the paper is showing it's from the COVID shot. And then the smoking gun is that in all the cancer cells, it's the signature of the mRNA technology, like 21 to 21 or whatever it is, like exact 100% of it.
Yep.
And so they're saying now when you get your biopsy, make sure that you have to actually ask for and pay out of your pocket because the insurance won't cover it. But you need to go, I need to check and see if I did have a shot, if those signatures are in there.
Look at the
Because you're
sign
not
above
dealing
it,
with the
too.
same thing.
Go fall in.
Oh, go fallen.
Right. So we're Joan and I, we're looking at this and our jaws are dropping. And there was this guy in front of us. I don't know, man. He looked like he was like a football player, but not like a tackle, but like a linebacker, and maybe he had a bit of a medical background. And he's looking at us, looking at the magazines. And he says, "Oh, I've never seen so many conditions in one place." Yeah, dude. Like, it's time to wake up here. So David and I have some specially equipped glasses here. And we're going to show you, as we put these glasses on, like what this really looks like. And because we can see this through our glasses, you'll be able to see what's really behind these magazines. So, David, you got your glasses on?
Yes, I do.
All right. So I've got mine on. And this is what they're really saying here.
Yep.
Right here. This is the They Live message. Vaccines, ADHD, right? We have autism. We have ADHD, vaccines, boys,
Sugar,
autism, vaccines,
stress,
sugar, stress,
pesticides,
trauma, pesticides, can't breathe, right? Down here,
disassociate.
Yep, we can't just include boys here with ADHD. So we got a little Ritalin, we got more boys.
No, did you see this week the big push from celebrities for women is it's the beta blockers, right? That during the awards just recently, that one, I don't even know, some new girl, I don't even know, but she's like, go take your beta blockers. And now every because girls are high in anxiety and men are high in ADHD. So that's where you're seeing the trade-off, right?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, you may as well have just printed this on those magazine covers.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting close, right? People have been down in the scrum long enough so that when they see these magazine covers, they're having the They Live glasses moment. And I feel like, we've been talking about war, and we've been talking about Hegseth and, the sort of the clerical side of this, the physical side of this. But this is another version of the war that's coming. And it's the war for our autonomy and the war for our sovereignty. And getting back to your point, with Saturn, Neptune, and Aries, ain't nobody coming for us. Even AI Atlas, right? Ain't nobody coming for us. We've burned the boats. So, you better start looking at things through these lenses. Like, not to the point where you're going to not want to get up in the morning. But this is what they're doing to people and trying to get them into this version of the Matrix again. Fear. Well, you pull the curtain back and you put the glasses on, and this is what you see. This is what's really, there we go. There's some organic sounds.
It's okay. It's okay, Aurora. I love you. I hope you sleep good.
She wants your daddy.
I know. I was going to say that.
Want to go put her to bed?
No, we can finish this. We can finish this right now because I have a couple things to say with this. Is that this is actually true. I'm wearing polarized glasses right now. That 3A Atlas is polarized, so it's creating this weird trail of all the nickel that it's doing, to where if you were to be wearing polarized lenses, you'd be able to see some of the stuff. But that's what's really weird about it, is that it's so like when we put stuff up in space, like satellites and stuff like that, and we put aluminums or any kind of metals on it, like those kind of things, when they do burning, there's those polarized vapor kind of like in things. And this thing has so much, and it's so much, it keeps growing. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
So they kept telling us it was small.
Right, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think 3A Atlas is like a symbolism. If we take old astrology, like comets and all this stuff, it's like we are intersecting, and this is something that's never been a hyperbolic transit that's the same level as the horizon of the planets around the sun. It's not like it just beamed up from the south, then zenith, north, just like comets come from any direction. This thing beamed exactly to hit the same level of our plane from the planets in their orbits around the sun, except for Pluto, of course. And it's beaming in the inner solar system. And it's growing bigger. This situation, everything we just talked about today. And the fact that it's coming closest to the sun, October 29th, the fact that we'll start to see it at the beginning of December when it's on its way to Jupiter. I ran that stuff on my special. We're going to watch 3A Atlas oppose Pluto from the sun, and even Earth's point of view too. We're going to see 3A Atlas perfectly when it's conjunct Jupiter from geocentric point of view and heliocentric, because when the sun makes its opposition to Jupiter in Capricorn with Mars and Venus, 3A Atlas will be in exact alignment with Jupiter during that. We're going to see the sun,
You mean
Mars.
Jupiter and Cancer?
Yeah, we're going to see the sun, Mars, and Venus all conjunct for like 3 degrees. It's like 16, 17, 18 is the exact conjunction of all three. So it's a cazimi of the sun with Venus, and then a cazimi with the sun and Mars. And they're going to happen as they all three oppose Jupiter. And that's right the moment that 3A Atlas is in the middle of all of them in perfect alignment.
Interesting.
And it's like, that's when this thing's all going to take a head. And that's Neptune back in Pisces. It'll station direct, Saturn's direct, and they're both going to be trailing. And what's so weird about Neptune is Neptune retrogrades back in October 22nd, and then it comes back in Aries January 26th, and then we wait for almost a month for Saturn. So Saturn, of course, it's so Saturn, right? Let's wait on Saturn.
February 15th, right? They come back together again.
The 20th. Yeah, the 20th. But that's what I think that this whole thing, I mean, this thing's coming to a head pretty quick. This fall is into the winter. No joke. And every day, I think it's going to keep increasing. And I think we're feeling something we've never felt before, that you can't just go to the planets. We have something with the planets at the same level. And in many ways, it's acting like a planet, even though it's going retrograde because it's going the opposite direction of the orbits of the planets around the sun, but it's increasing in size. And now could be as big as our own moon, or maybe even bigger. And if that becomes the case, that is a planet X that goes between system and doesn't have an allegiance to suns, which in many ways would be the first idea of like maybe free will, but there's always determination as far as it probably has to come back to its original sun.
Well, we're having the brewery conversation now.
Right, but I think it's in a way that nobody thought it could have ever been.
Right.
If that makes sense. But I think all these things are reaching this place, and 3A Atlas is the signal that it's when that Sun, Mars, Venus comes in Capricorn, and it's going to happen right where Saturn, Pluto met, right in that same area in 2020. and Jupiter in opposition, and 3A Atlas comes right in between that Kazemi moment and all that, and our view of Jupiter from Earth's point of view. Because when it's Sun opposed Jupiter, it's really Earth conjunct Jupiter and heliocentric.
Right.
So Earth looking right at Jupiter.
Yeah.
And so the fact that 3A Atlas is going to be right in between that, and then on the other side of the sun really is going to be Mars and Venus conjuncting, all in alignment, that's the hot zone. And that's like January 6th and January 9th.
January 7th is Bowie and Elvis's birthday.
How weird. And then, of course, all the stuff that came out about January 6th recently of the 200 and...
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Stardust, Bowie,
That's, yeah.
Like, wow. Yeah.
So I think it's a big deal. I think I've been trying to tell people lately because it's a little hard because the astrology is so crazy. But I think there is an extra element here with this 3A Atlas as I've been tracking it heliocentrically and geocentrically, tropically. I mean, the fact that it just crossed on top of Mars and conjuncted Mars from Earth's point of view in our astrology. And we are so obsessed with Mars, whether it's like in the last, it was on the day that Charlie Kirk died, they announced that alien life was on Mars, right? That they knew that for over a year, that there's life and there's water and there's coral reefs and there's all this weird stuff there, right? And then we're just skimming the very beginning, like the very smallest part of what's about to explode on us. And I think all this has to happen in order for us to go the other way. Like that the pressure is what creates like a star being born,
right?
Bowie kind of thing, right? Like that's part of it. So instead of being afraid of it, we got to use we're lucky we're getting all this energy. Just unfortunately, a lot of people are letting it kind of suck them up instead of allowing it to kind of be your fuel,
Yeah. Well, before we leave this page, I want to give a shout out to Mark S., who was able to help us extract the they live elements to this graphic.
He did a great job.
He did a great job. And he did it like in 15 minutes.
Great job.
Not only is it great, but it was like on the fly and economical. So big shout out to Mark.
I mean, I hope people have their glasses on. I don't know, we didn't send them out. We do have, apparel, but we don't have glasses.
If we have the glasses, they can see it through our glasses.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how this technology works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Like,
oh, it's great.
That movie is actually a very entertaining movie. My favorite part's the end, like when they're at the TV station and then they realize there's underground at the secret meetings of the politicians that they have like these back doors, right? And they just are space ports that just go up into space, right? Like, and it's just like, wait, what? And as they go up to try and take out the satellite and all that, that's my favorite, like, part of it all. Is kind of like when it all converges. And,
I love the fight scene in the alley.
That too, right? Where they finally meet up and they have to fight, and then it's like, oh, they're like looking around, like, and he's like got the glasses.
The metaphor is put on the damn glasses.
I know, put on the glasses,
put
dude.
on the fucking glasses so you can see what's going on in this world. And the metaphor is that you literally have to beat a person to an inch of their death until they can drop their view of the world, right? And say, oh shit, this is how the world really looks. But you don't get them there until, they're almost a bloody pulp, and you stick the glasses on them. They're like, oh shit, this has been going on.
And especially after you witness that little like church in the back of it where they were holding the glasses, and you see you get raided, and you were living across the street, and then they take over the area, and then they all the people involved, and then you put the glasses on, you realize there's drones above your head and they're just filming people that people can't see. It's more than just the signage and the subliminal message. It's the big brother alien everywhere. And you have the balls to still go find your buddy and to wake him up and give him the glasses to get to and then find the resistance. And then even the resistance gets shattered, right? When they go to the resistance party. Like, it's just such a, actually, that movie's like one of the best movies.
And I like the fact that Carpenter kind of kept the effects kind of low tech and weird, right? Like,
I know.
I like that. A lot of people have
because the acting was actually really good. They didn't, and I liked it was kind of like more. It was still good though, because like when they do the glasses scene and the way the alien guys look and like how they're and it's a certain type of person. Did you notice they picked out the elites?
Well, they picked out more than just the elites.
I know that, but I'm just saying that like they picked out a certain kind of person you can see in the world.
They picked out the Netanyahu's of the world. Okay, like if you you really follow the type, it's like, oh yeah, but elite is one version of.
Or like the woman, with her dogs, you know what I mean, and like her nice handbag, and like trying to act right,
We've got one. He can see.
He can see. I know, like it's just very.
And Roddy Piper was the perfect choice.
He was.
Because he can't fucking act.
I know.
Right?
But he did. It worked. It worked.
No. It works because he can't act.
I know.
He's just like a dude.
Yeah, and that's what made it more believable.
He's playing himself.
I know.
Right? And so I used to be friends with this guy named Alan Howarth. And Alan did sound effects and a lot of co-composition for John Carpenter. So he told me, Alan did all the special effects for all the Star Wars movies until J.J. Abrams came aboard.
Oh wow!
So Alan was deep into that world, and I said, man, the fight scene in that movie is the most realistic fight scene I've ever seen. And he said that they had massage therapists and chiropractors on that set.
Way.
So that
it's like in an alley with the trash bins and just it's just like it's like real Street Fighter style.
It's real street fight shit. And Roddy Piper and Keith David, I love Keith David. He was.
I know Keith David actually was like what held that thing together to be at the beginning, the guy who's actually trying to wake him up, but then turns the other way and then has to come. It's like so interesting. They switch roles again.
Yeah. No, Keith David is he's like the Sorghum. He holds it all together.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but they wanted to get as close to an actual fight scene as they possibly could. So that's why they had, and Roddy Piper could do that stuff in his sleep, right? Because he comes from the wrestling world. He knows how to fall. He knows how to do all that stuff. Keith David was not a professional, right? So they had to rehearse that thing, but also get their bodies because they were,
to be the construction worker and the fighter. That's like
And then after
and the raw kind of hardcore construction guys, the building the hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't like they were just doing demos. They're like, pouring concrete and building framing and building steel framing and
they were digging and all kinds of shit, right?
Yeah.
And then after the fight, they're all beat the shit. They go to that hotel, that Fleabag hotel. That's where they're gonna heal up and figure out how they're gonna take on this alien virus that has taken over the signal. It's taken over the signal. This is what we're doing. We're breaking the signal. This is what we do.
And I will say the other movie, and it's kind of crazy because on Apple TV, it's number 20 is Snake Eyes, having Charlie Kirkland, the DOD secretary who's assassinated, and Nick Cage is the local cop, and how
I saw it last night. I watched it.
Oh yeah, I rewatched it. I remembered it, but there were so many things in there that's actually that movie is if this Charlie Kirk thing, if somebody had the balls to actually be Nicolas Cage and actually not take the money and the bribe and not just like go with whatever these corrupt people are doing, right? So then we would have the truth. But you could, based off that movie, it made me double down on. For sure, Erika Kirk is not talking about what really happened. And there's a lot of other people too. And that's scary because that whole thing was about the videotapes and why aren't we seeing the videotapes? There was videotapes at the campus. There's videotapes that Charlie Kirk said. We haven't seen any of them.
They have spy satellites that can fucking read the date on a quarter. Okay?
And but my favorite part of Snake Eyes is when Nicolas Cage goes, he sees that blimp with the eye on it, and then he goes up there and he goes, nobody knew we had a camera in there. And he goes, I want to see the tape alone. And he's playing it, and you could see, oh, he wasn't with the redhead, and he's right there. And there's the shooter. And then he catches him, and that's when he walks down the stairs like, well, it's like, oh man. It's like that's guaranteed what happened. Like, oh, here's the tapes. Like all these people probably walk in like, thank you. And if you don't take this money or you don't do this, you're dead. Or even how he had to kill a couple of the people in on it because that movie was actually really good. And then it's not
even just a couple people. Like
I know.
The guy
it was all for a defense contract to go, and then the whole pushing that it was a Palestinian, right? It was like wow. And then I think that was at one of Trump's old hotels that he failed at.
I think so. Just set in Atlantic City.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the Alibaba one that he had invested all that money in because you could tell by the hallways and all that stuff. It was like, I was like, oh man. I was like, this makes it even more surreal. Yeah. And actually, that's one of more Nick Cage's, like, he's not that hardcore bad. Like, he's just enough, but he's actually the good guy. It's a movie where he's the good guy, which is kind of rare.
I think he's
like
overacted even beyond Nick Cage.
Well, I know, I agree. I mean, it's not like the greatest like film of all time, right? But it actually, in the context of watching
the context
it and seeing
what we're witnessing now, Snake Eyes has some meat on its bones. There's some gravy in Snake Eyes.
Yeah, and it wasn't terrible. It was actually not bad. So it was like, But I thought about the whole Trump thing too. I was like, this is weird because this is like where Trump was at. And this is one of he had 3 hotels there. And one of them was that big Alibaba or whatever he made. And that was the hotel they were at.
Yeah. And there's this weird, like the guy who plays the boxer.
Right.
Stan Shaw, who's a really good actor. But he mentioned like Buster Douglas.
Oh yeah.
One point. So the guy who's playing the boxer is like a cipher of Mike Tyson. And of course, Trump and Tyson were tight. Right. How did Mike Tyson get in trouble? This will be an interesting sort of work backwards here to Mark Sanchez.
You're talking about after the biting the ear stuff.
When Mike, before the biting of the ear, sent him to prison. Sent him to prison because he was in Indianapolis, which brings us back to Mark Sanchez. And there was a Miss USA pageant going on there. And Mike Tyson had been introduced to Desiree Washington. And she was, I forget where she was from, but she winds up in Mike Tyson's bedroom at like 1:30 in the morning. What the fuck are you doing in Mike Tyson's bedroom at 1:30 in the morning? Right? What are you doing there? Why are you there? Because you want to read the Bible with Mike? What do you think is going to happen there? So I have a theory about this. Now, Trump went on to like talk. He used to like testify on talk shows, and say that Mike got a raw deal because Trump was hinting that there was something else going on that might have been a conspiracy. My theory is Trump is really tight with Don King, and they set Mike Tyson up.
It makes me think of Oscar De La Hoya too, and how he kind of went crazy at the end of his career and ended up in Big Bear and with the girl, and you know, it's like now Trump's on the UFC, and now there's gonna be a UFC fight at the White House, right?
They set Mike Tyson up.
That's a Kirkland moment if I haven't seen one. The UFC that's going to come to the White House.
It's a travesty.
Like there's something really weird. Like I don't know anybody who's excited about that. Anybody who's like, oh, that's exciting. Like that's just like desecrating. That's just like the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
It's like, why don't they just open it? They're opening the ballroom, which is like cover for a nightclub, really.
Yeah, I know, but it's like the event and having UFC fighters, and ironically an octagon because there's a pentagon. There's a on the other side of the river. You can just go to the Pentagon, but we're gonna have an octagon over here.
We talked about this like the night before the inauguration with Evan. That Trump is going to be the new Caesar. Like that, Pluto conjunction of the sun, where he's getting sworn in. Are you kidding me? He's the new freaking Caesar, and this is the new Rome. These are the new, like, you know, games. These are the new games.
Right.
And,
I mean,
it's the now the White House becomes the fucking Coliseum.
I know. And it's after watching Snake Eyes, and then you bringing up the Mike Tyson thing and how they have the boxer in Snake Eyes, and he has his debts with the casinos, which reminds me of like kind of like OJ with trying to get his memorabilia back and all this like weird stuff. There's a lot of that. Like you sign up for any of these actor, athlete, Mark Sanchez. I mean, the list goes down. Even like, you know, you see Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, he's cool. He's into astrology, like, and he's pushing stuff and fighting to stay in, right?
Aaron is having a hell of a season, man. I mean,
I know.
He's such a freaking sage.
I know.
It's like, yeah, I'm going to go, of all places, to fucking Pittsburgh, Steel City. And everybody said, oh, he's never going to make it there. He's never going to.
I mean, that's kind of this Pittsburgh story the last 20 years. It's like after Roethlisberger, and then like, it just kind of is like.
Who has his own weird stories with Donald Trump, right?
Yeah, and it makes that's kind of like the one team. Like, well, let's just try anything. But Aaron Rodgers actually is a great QB, but he's also a better human being. But also, I'm kind of worried for the guy. He pushes. He's not afraid to push the limit and kind of go against this grain. I think people who sign up in this world in all directions right now, pushing it, they gotta be after Charlie Kirk. You kind of gotta look.
Well, he went from being woke, right? Like I remember a commercial with him and Pharrell and all these influencers. They were all sitting at this table, and he went from there, being in that commercial at the table with all of these, you know, culturally woke people, to being who he is now. I'm like, talk about a freaking 180, right?
Yeah, you know, he's like full blown into astrology, watches all the astrologers. Like,
yeah,
he's hardcore.
He got hooked up. He got hooked up with.
He's with Deborah Silverman a lot.
Deborah Silverman, yeah, but she did a bad job hooking him up with Shalane, whatever her name was. That didn't really work.
Oh, I just, if you like, I guarantee you, if you look through your like followers, you'll see like a weird Aaron Rodgers without a profile picture.
That'd be cool. I like Aaron Rodgers.
I know.
I think he's
He
interesting.
watches all of ours. He watches all of everyone's stuff. He's in.
He's interesting.
He's really in.
One of the best pure passers.
Maybe that's
I've
your
ever
way
seen.
through it, though. He's going to be a good example to maybe watch. Maybe that's the way through. Is if you're fully awake and you know what's going on.
He reminds
He has his glasses on.
He reminds me a little bit of Jonathan Yee from Rollerball, the character that James Caan played, who takes on the system. Like he's at the height of his popularity. And of course, it's in the future. I love Rollerball.
Yeah.
And
but it's kind of interesting though, seeing like who knows if Mark Sanchez might have had some weird things going on.
Clearly, he had weird things going on because he woke up in a hospital, chained to it with handcuffs, and
yeah, that's weird.
And then stitches.
Or did you see the whole thing about the Angels and the Tyler Skaggs? Because remember he OD'd in 2018, and the case, and now it's come out that one of the guys who was dealing the drugs to Tyler Skaggs was actually closer to Mike Trout. Mike Trout had just gotten his $475 million deal, and so he was paying this guy cash to pop his pimples on his back. Not kidding. This just came out.
Mike Trout was doing that?
Mike Trout, yeah.
How do you get pimples on your back?
I don't know.
Steroids.
Oh. And long story short, it's like showing that there was a lot, the family and the lawyers for Tyler Skaggs are showing everybody knew, and everybody, including Mike Trout, was that ironically they're connecting that Mike Trout was paying this guy for as simple as popping pimples on his back and eating him. That was the other thing, and eating him. Not kidding. Look it up.
It's disgusting.
And that the coaches knew, and then they knew Tyler Skaggs through the personnel because he was a pitcher. And that they were giving him, of course, medication and icing and all that stuff, but they knew about his use of OxyContin. Looks like they probably provided him with that. And this guy they had on the inside who was like the roadie, right? Who was doing whatever needed to be done in order to keep the teammates happy.
So the Angels have a really weird background with players who die, right?
Yeah.
You got Tyler Skaggs. You have Nick Adenhart, who died in a car crash.
Mm-hmm.
You got Donnie Moore, who committed suicide because he blew the playoff game. And there was this other guy who had signed a really big contract with the Angels, but never played with them. His name was Lyman Bostock. And the Angels have a really weird history around death.
And the biggest players to come on the team, but never to do anything, like Nolan Ryan, Jackie Robinson, like all these big players that kind of come through, but then they don't stay. It's kind of a weird. It kind of reminds me of like a money laundering, but a player laundering situation.
Well, Artie, what's his name? The owner.
Artie Moreno, I know.
Moreno,
the owner.
The guy fucking owned a bank. He was probably laundering money for the cartels.
I know, and he's been in trouble with the city of Anaheim in another case over the leasing of the stadium. It's been a really weird, and the Angels are the first team in all. I mean, the Cubs are in the playoffs right now, and they've always had the curse. Of course, they broke that 6 years ago or whatever. But it's weird because the Angels have gone now 11 seasons without being in a playoff game. They're the most of any team in any franchise of any sport to not make a playoff game for over a decade.
They've had some loaded teams.
I know. They just broke the record of being the longest team to not, of any organization of any major sport, to not go to a playoff game.
Yeah, it's a weird franchise, man.
And they have the third
weird
highest attendance watchers, right? I'm one of them. Like some of the biggest fans, and they don't leave, even though we got last place.
You got beat by the A's.
At the end there, yeah. I mean, at the beginning of the season, we were there, but you know what I mean? We beat every other team. We beat the Dodgers every game. Swept the Dodgers this year 6-0.
It's a really,
so it's like,
really
it's a weird situation. There's something, and then Disney owned it, and that was when they won the World Series in 2002, and they did the remodel. So it's connected to Disney too. It's very. All these sports teams have something, and it's kind of like wherever the players are. So it's kind of interesting that maybe Aaron's okay in Pittsburgh because it's probably not doing much because that even the Democrats abandoned it during the election. Did you see Kamala's new book? I only had 107 days. And you know what she does in there? Of course, I didn't read it, but Bill Maher, of course, I thought did the greatest way of he read it. He was like, this bitch just blames everybody but herself. So she says that she hit up Gavin Newsom for his endorsement. He said, I'm busy, I'll call you back. And he never called her back.
I wonder why.
And it's like, oh, so she's blaming it on him, but nothing on her. She didn't do anything wrong, right? Or then, of course, that's the book where she came out and said, I was going to Pete Buttigieg, but because he was gay, which is so ironic I'm fighting for LGBTQ, but because he's gay, I'm not going to make him the VP. But she took Waltz because he was more extreme, because he was not gay, but
Waltz
who knows
is
at
gay.
this point?
Waltz is fucking gay. What are we talking about?
But I'm just saying, right? But like to normal people, they're like, but like he's about the like, let's put fucking tampons in fucking boys' restrooms, right? And all this kind of stuff, right? And then she turned on him in the book too, saying he horrible on the campaign trail. His wife, remember his wife, how creepy she was?
No, I don't like to use the word Karen in conjunction with a harsh white woman because I think it's a bit unfair of a type. But if there was a type, she's a fucking Karen. Like, she is a Karen. And
you're just moving on out, Trump. We're just turning the page.
Turn the page. Turn the page.
Turn the page. Turn the page. Like, oh my gosh. So
I mean,
she blamed everybody but herself.
It was great for content, but as an American, you're just fucking like, this is what you got? This is the best you guys can come up with?
No, I think it was planned to make people go, we got to take Trump.
Yeah. But did you expect that with her? No. And if the Democrats had any common sense, they would have gone with somebody else. But
yeah, especially it's now official, 1.5 billion through Kamala. That's how much money she had. In 100, that was a money launder scheme. But $1.5 billion in 107 days, and you lose. And then you go in debt, and the Democrat Party has no money. And now Act Blue is just dead. So they don't have any money. So now Newsom's trying to rig elections by doing what he's calling the anti-election rigging Prop 50 in California, but it basically rigs the election. It's like desperation moment.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting that through all this that's been going on, that kind of just like slipped through the crack of like, maybe she knows something that she's wanting to disconnect herself from everybody. Maybe it's not because she's got an ego, but she's trying to put blame, like separate herself, that I wasn't even in control of me being in this. These people knew of other things. And the fact, so with Gavin Newsom, it's like, well, maybe he's because he wanted to be it and he was pissed and he was a Biden, so he was acting I'm all about Biden, and it was too much, right? But there's something, why were people not supporting it, right? And why was all this big money put in? And then they all kind of, right? And that was what was weird, like with Obama. Well, from what I just saw, that I think it was Glenn Beck just posted right before we went on, like Comey was indicted, like, but I know that already happened, but there was something about the Comey situation he had just posted about. I was like, what? But oh yeah, he's actually posting but there's some crazy rallies in the UK right now this weekend to no to digital ID.
Well,
he goes, indicted. Comey faces justice over Trump Russia lies 3 hours ago, but we already knew that.
Yeah. So they can't get him on certain things because of the statute of limitations, right? So they have to get him on lying.
Yeah, or the seashell thing too.
Yeah. That was
because maybe they just did the interview and then said, okay, let it be, right? To make people kind of get off the story. And then, the seashell thing, people keep forgetting about that. Like,
the seashell thing happened when Mars was on Trump's Pluto.
Yeah.
Right there. Like that was like, that's exactly.
I mean, the fact we're even saying this, talking about this, just is crazy. Like, this is the world we're at right now. Like, and how weird. Like, this dude had to like post a pic of it's so Tom Hanks with the gloves, and it's like that's their like signature. This other side of it. The other side has its problems. We've talked about them just now, which they're going dangerous too. But this other side is creepy and has like a really weird
they're passive
connection.
Aggressive. The other side is passive aggressive.
It's very like,
and now the other side is just aggressive, right? So you're dealing with passive aggressive and aggressive.
And then you have the Newsom who's trying to be the aggressor to come back, which kind of reminds me of like the Civil War. And the South really wasn't that aggressive until some guys changed sides, right? It was like until Robert E. Lee came and until, it's kind of like, that's why it's so funny that, we think of the Civil War like, oh, Neptune the second went into Aries after being at 29 Pisces in April of 1861, but it wasn't until this exact opposition of a solar eclipse and coming into a equinox in opposition to Neptune, an equinox opposite Neptune at 0 Aries was when, oh shit, like one of the states, Kentucky, decides to stay not neutral anymore and go and join the South. And that was the beginning of this. That's the Civil War, like active. And you're seeing with still the California, and look at what's happening now in Portland. Again, that's being brought up under the same Venus retrograde. There was all the beginnings of that. With the last Venus retrograde in Aries and Pisces of 2017, the beginning of Portland's big change. And that's coming back up. But now you've got the health alliance between those 4 states with Hawaii. And now they're like, we don't want to do this. We're not going to listen to anything they do. They're doing what the Supreme Court already said they can't do, is have federal judges make blanket claims and stop the whole country, or stop the president, or stop the federal government from acting on what they do. And that's what they just did with Portland. And I don't know if you know, but the Supreme Court comes back tomorrow and they have a bunch of things on the docket, including guns, voting rights, a bunch of crazy shit, like really intense stuff they're about to do. That usually the summer's slow. The fall's the crazy shit, and the crazy shit. And one of the big ones is like on gun rights, and if states are allowed to put any restriction on gun rights on citizens. And of course, they're going to turn that off with Neptune coming back into Aries and all that. And we're going to live in a world where everybody can have a gun again.
Mad Max, baby. We be packing. We be packing. All right, David.
Well, that was great. Yeah.
We should pack it up. Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be in Texas. The link I'm sure you have down below on here. Yeah. Make sure you hit that link, because that's the only way we get paid. So
come join the party. There's still a discount happening. You get a discount for your friends. And we're going to have some cool merch there. David's going to DJ on Saturday night. We're going to close the thing out on Sunday night, and having as many people there.
Are we still going to do the meetup, like our own meetup thing?
Yeah, yeah. When we say meetup,
Yeah.
we're talking MEAT.
Yeah,
up.
that
meet up.
Meet up. Yeah.
And that's going to be on Monday, off site, right? So, and that's going to be limited. We can't take a ton of people. So, but not like 5 or 6, but we can't take 50 people, 100 people. But we'll have a really nice meetup offsite on Monday, not far from the location. And it's going to be.
And then the merch, get it now because I just put it to go through like to the printers, like as far as like if you make an order, it'll come quick. Like I don't do that on a lot of stuff because you kind of like risk your account. Like it's kind of like orders are going to come through, so I'm betting on people ordering.
Yeah, we need to represent. Hey, can you carve out a baseball cap in there?
I am. I just I'm like you. I like a nice hat, so like I'm just taking.
Cool.
I need one more day.
All right, so yeah, baseball cap.
But there's a lot on there, so
there is. All right, David, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And as always, love you, brother.
See you soon. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See you in 3D.
Yep.
All right.
See you soon.
Is the great David Palmer, the Leo King.
Adios.
All right, I'm out of here too. Everybody, hit the like, hit subscribe. If you enjoyed the show over on Facebook, I think we got a few people watching over on Facebook. Thumbs up to that. And don't forget to bring your They Live glasses to the event, to the bridge, in just a few weeks. Look forward to seeing all of you. Glasses on, glasses off. In the meantime, don't forget our sponsor, TrueHempScience.com. 15MAINS is your code. We're bringing another sponsor on. We had a great meeting with some new friends in San Marcos, and wait till you get a load of their products and what they're doing. It's going to blow your mind, and you're going to want to support this Main Street business. And there's a lot of utilitarian uses to what they put together. Everything from dental care, foot care, to like sanitizing, your countertops, you name it. Full service, organic, nano silver products for you in your home. That's coming here soon. All right. Don't forget me, Robert Phoenix, over on robertphoenix.com. And I've been getting back to people for readings and looking forward to rebuilding that again because I've just been out of it and I've got a backlog. So hang in there, and I'm at your service. All right. Take care. Bye for now.